Take it easy. And you know how to forget all the wrongs and every reason why we've changed. And there's a storm inside my head, it's getting me in trouble, baby, and I can't break away. I thought that I could keep it low, take it easy, take it slow. We ended up just like before, so take it easy, take it easy. I thought that I could keep it low, take it easy, take it slow. We ended up just like before, so take it easy.
Hello, and welcome back to the NUEL. This is week 4 of summer 2018. This is now coming into the final week of the split in terms of the Swiss format. Today, we're going to be spectating Kiel, followed by Lancaster, followed by whoever the first place team is versus their matchup or whatever. Hopefully we'll be getting into the first game shortly. It will be Kiel versus Birmingham. If we have a look at the placements for the teams, that's a 6th versus 4th place matchup. So certainly an interesting one for sure. Hopefully Overclappers are going to win this one. I'm not going to lie, I'll be a little bit biased because it is my team and I'm subbed out this week for them. But, you know, end of the day, the winner is the winner. Saga, are you here?
I've just been sitting here waiting for you to do the introduction. God damn. These guys don't know who we are. They just heard a random voice.
That's irrelevant, isn't it? But,
Come on.
I mean, if you insist.
Ollie shouts.
That's it. It's Ollie. It's Saga. We're doing things. We're casting for the NUEL. I'm ask.
That's definitely what we're doing. So, as Ollie so unbiasedly said, We got Overclappers UK, that team we saw get dominated on stream last week. Just saying. Going up against Degenerates, the other team who we saw actually get dominated on stream last week. So it's going to be a battle for pride. Both of these teams have losses on stream last week, where myself and Counterfeit were casting the games. So both going to be looking to pick up the wins, get some of that respect back from the Twitch chat, so they're not all just big memes like Ollie shouts when he's not playing Brawl.
I mean, let's be honest. Take a look back at those games. I'm not the worst performing person on the team. It's
Hey, don't
know,
call people out, man. That's not cool.
the correlation. It's non-existent. I guarantee.
So we're in the lobby. Everyone seems to be in place. Just making sure we got everything ready, and then we'll get into some gameplay.
Right.
So we know which team you want to win, Ollie, but which team do you have to take this game? Remember,
Well,
Birmingham, a little bit higher placement. They've got 6 wins to the 5 that Kiel has. But as you say, it's not their main roster. Their star player support is not playing this week. Could that be the straw that broke the camel's back and throws Kiel into a massive nosedive?
it's a super difficult one to say because every team that overclappers have gone against that wasn't
Again.
Warwick or Loughborough, they have smashed in like 25 minutes or less. But they haven't gone against Birmingham before. So we don't actually know if Birmingham are better or not. We don't even know if, Monkey Cage are better or not. It's a bit of a difficult one to judge. But we are hopping into the picks and bans immediately.
Yeah, I wonder if these teams actually realize that the roster isn't quite the same, because a lot of Overclappers games that they've lost have had target bans coming out, like Cogmore being taken away from Jackal, immediately going to be the first ban away. But usually that's followed up by the Braum, since that's, the only champion you can play. But since you're not playing this week, maybe Flammable Object has some other picks that he could pull out. So it depends whether these guys really pay attention to those nice infographics that you put out on Twitter, to see whether or not they recognize the fact that Ollie Shouts isn't playing and they'll ban something else. But Draven going to be taken away by the Overclappers.
I fixed the stream. Sorry, the client was a really odd size there. No idea why, but we're all
Beautifully done. Warwick taken away from Benbow, one of his...
Benbow?
I mean, Benbow, yeah. I mean, Crimbo, same thing. one of the champions he's known for. And we've seen Pyke, especially last week, do some disgusting amounts of bursty damage, get so many picks. It's such a powerful support if the enemy team isn't entirely prepared for it. So no surprise to see that taken away.
Absolutely. I really like the Draven ban. V-Man is, without a doubt, just a Draven one trick. At least I've been told. It's a lot of bot lane bans, though. And I still see Morgana open currently. And that's probably going to be a key pick for Flammable Object here. His picks tend to be Lulu or Morgana. Those are the higher priority ones, at least we've given him for this week whilst he's subbed in. Zach gets locked in by Birmingham. I feel like it's a bit of a weaker jungler right now.
Yeah, it's you could call it a takeaway. Crimson's always been a big fan of Zach. When you go back to King of the North, that was like his 100% pick and 100% win rate pretty much on it. Danny Hood did play it last week. I didn't have the most success, but he definitely got some things going for him, especially in the early game, because Zach with the elastic slingshot can join the fights from long range. But there's another jungler who can do the exact same thing, but just from even further away, as Nocturne is locked in for Crimson.
Okay, 2 things to point out here. Firstly, we stopped playing the Zac because we felt it's just too weak. After all of these nerfs and the current meta junglers that are just so powerful and so aggressive in those early levels, you sort of concede the early game and even some of the mid game unless you can get those miraculous engages with Zac. So we just took it out of our champ pool. Nocturne was one we recently introduced because we felt, look, we need to get some of these higher priority picks. So I'm glad to see that locked in now for Crimson. I haven't seen the team use this, so maybe it will seem a bit scattered. They won't really know how to utilize the darkness properly, but hopefully we will see that. Thresh Lucian gets locked in by Birmingham. I'm not a fan of that. Thresh is pretty weak into Morgana.
Yeah, I mean, you say you need the miraculous engages. If there's one champion you want to
Oh,
pick into a miraculous engage comp, Morgana can shut that down with the Black Shield. And now it's not even just Zac that she could shut down. As you say, Thresh locked in, doesn't do particularly well into Morgana, but the hyper carry for Jackal, you ban out his Cogmore, he's got others, he's got backups. And with the Black Shield on him, the engage is going to be difficult to find. And we've seen what Jackal can do in team fights when he's got hyper carry champions. It's not pretty.
so Twitch is a really interesting character for me. He recently got the stats buff alongside Jinx, and this is one of Jackal's priority picks in all previous splits because it's just so powerful at this level of play. Teams don't know how to play against it, and then they're just dead. From the invisibility, Twitch just opens up on you and unleashes hell. He is a bit weaker though. With the crit item changes, he can't just go Infinity Edge into Runarns and then, one shot you. He has to build Bork first, and then he has to go into the Runarns, and then it's
Yeah,
the
I don't
Infinity
know.
Edge.
I don't know what happened there. I sort of just dropped out of Discord for a second.
Odd.
But yeah, Twitch and Jinx were the ones that got their health buffed. It helps them out in the laning phase, especially against them. It was kind of for the mages, like Brand was getting played, and hyper carries really struggled
Wait,
to get through the laning phase.
Aatrox
But
is not banned.
yeah, up against Lucian, it is an aggressive laner, but will he do as much damage early as a Brand? Probably not. But there has been a lot of focus on top laners, like you say. Gnar and Jace have been banned. Aatrox is still available. He did get sort of tickled with some nerfs, but Malphite going to be taken away. He literally does nothing.
This
Why would
just
you...
has to be an Aatrox pick.
Yeah, Aatrox did get some nerfs, but I mean, he's still definitely a priority pick. It depends how comfortable Benbow is on it. I'm sure he's got some
Very,
hours on
very
the
comfortable,
champion,
yeah.
so and it will be locked in. So that's a really, really strong top laner for the overclappers.
Mundo is available to pick. He's a very strong top laner right now as well. Maybe they feel like they have the counter to Aatrox. And
Yeah,
Fiora,
it was EULCS just yesterday, or was it NA, one or the other, where an Aatrox. I'm pretty sure it was NA because it was Darshan on CLG who had the Aatrox and just got dominated by a Fiora. Like he literally couldn't do anything in that lane. So looks like they're going to be trying to recreate that.
Orianna coming through as the mid laner to round out their team comp. Good combination with the Zac. We're going to be looking for a 1-4 split comp with those amazing quick engages with Slingshot Shockwave. Countered now by the enemy team, who are going to get the Swain and look for the full-on 5v5, which they're going to force the engage with the Twitch coming out of invisibility, with a binding, with a grab from the Swain, with just a Nocturne ulting straight at you. There's a lot more tools for Keel to press the fight, and provided they have the correct vision to avoid the Zac engage and to avoid a random Shockwave coming out, and they can handle that split push, I think I prefer the Keel comp.
Yeah, we touched a little bit on target banning specifically against overclappers and Keel, where Cogmore first ban every game. Ollie Shouts is playing, ban Braum, he's useless on everything else. But Yams on Swain was one of the sort of core three champions that in the first week where no one really knew what the other teams were playing, Yams like hard carried some of those games. I'm going to put it out there. Like the guy did some serious work on Swain, and he's managed to get that pick. It's probably one of the first times since the first week. I mean, those infographics looked nice, but damn, they just gave away all your strats. So everyone's just been banning Swain, but he managed just to sneak it through. And I think there's just so many power picks for the side of overclappers. Aatrox came through. Jackal's on his hyper carry, has the protection of Morgana. Nocturne is like a first rotation must ban jungler in professional play, but just slides straight through and gets onto Crimson, and Yams gets his comfort pick in Swain. It's gonna be difficult to actually just muscle through and beat down just purely based on the draft. Overclappers just, they're sitting pretty right now.
You cannot deny the top side of the map for Keel is just solid, high priority picks. Twitch, a little bit questionable, but Morgana is amazing at countering any way of sort of abusing him. So we're really going to have to look towards that bot lane where we do see Flammable Object being the sub, see if Birmingham can pry open that one weakness and try and force the game into their hands through the bot lane. I think that's the best way to do it, unless we do see an amazing performance from this Fiora. If she can hard counter that Aatrox, potentially with some jungle assistance. If that happens, I will be really impressed, because I haven't seen an Aatrox ever lose lane. As far as I'm aware.
I think for Fiora, one of the big strengths into the Aatrox matchup is Aatrox is a champion that's full of crowd control, but all of it is so telegraphed. You can see it all coming. And the first, for the Q, where it's the 3, it's kind of like a ribbon, but all of them knock you up. The first 2, you can dodge out of them as Fiora fairly easily. The first one's quite a small hitbox. The second one, you just sort of walk towards him and get out of the knockup zone. The third one's where some champions have difficulty, where he's already on top of you and he can reposition with the E, but Fiora can see that coming, hit it with the riposte and land the stun. And that's a lot of Aatrox's damage combo that you've kind of just nullified. So there's definitely a chance for Aiden to take over the top lane if Benbow is not entirely cognizant of just how the Fiora can play and counter his own play.
Yeah, and we've seen in the games that overclappers have lost, it tends to be through the top lane. Tends to be serious prioritization from the jungler, looking for dives, looking for serious ganks. We often see a counter pick as well, but we don't usually see Benbow on Aatrox. So it could be an opportunity for them. I think one thing we also want to point out is Fiora is going to be seriously looking to split push in the late game. That's what she is about as a champion. If they force the engage with the Nocturne ultimate early before Fiora can start her TP, it delays her seriously. I think that could be a crucial way, if Kiel do fall behind, that they can try and get themselves back into this game. But again, looking at these comps, I don't think that should happen.
Yeah, I think the one major concern I have for the overclappers is, sure, Zac might struggle a lot in the early game if Crimson on Nocturne is able to get in and disrupt his jungle pathing, but at least Zac brings really potent engage, especially when comboed with Orianna. Whereas with overclappers comp, their main engage tool is to take their squishy, most likely full damage jungler and just hurl him at the enemy team. Or take your squishy, definitely full damage AD carry and have him stealth up into the middle of the enemy team and just hope that you don't get one-shotted. Whereas there's not really a way to consistently get fights started, as opposed to the degenerates from Birmingham. They, not Flame, by the way, that's their team name. They definitely have the tools to get fights started, and if things go well for them, finished before overclappers really even have a chance to respond.
Yeah, now we're just loading in, waiting for that to complete. Once we are in the game, I think level 1, are we going to see any shenanigans? Because I know Morgana's pretty good at level 1.
Yeah, I mean, come on, they pick their own team names, dude. We're not going to talk about Thresh's actual name. He's Benjamin again for this game.
Yeah, Benny. Yeah.
Yep, that's our guy, Benjamin. As soon as we get into the game, we'll go with the counterfeit strategy of pause the game, sync up at about 10 seconds, make sure we have no strange little issues that we occasionally have loading into League of Legends. So pause the game once we get to about 10 seconds. That's when we'll be jumping in live.
Right, I'm gonna need to just readjust this real quick. Let's go. Windowed. It's decided to change which window it's in for me, so that's, you know, really appreciate that. Let's put that on this.
Well, it gives us a chance to sort out those little issues and to reorder the champions on the UI, because for some reason it always puts them out of order every game.
Oh, that just irritates me. Like, why? Why? Do it correct, please. First time. I shouldn't need to ask. All right, let's reorder them.
I'm paused at 10 seconds. I'm ready to go, and you are.
All right, 3, 2, 1, begin.
Okay. So immediately, first thing I notice is overclappers have put some assist me pings in their opponent's bot lane tribush, and now they're just pinging all over the river. So maybe might try and look for a dark binding at level 1. Already has it skilled up. So it looks like they're trying to find a pick early on.
I mean, obviously that's that's what you start with Morgana anyways. It's not like a Thresh putting a point in Q first, but they've not scouted this properly. They aren't aware of this coming. It's been well coordinated thus far. Lucian does scout them. Let's see how they're going to do this. I think it's important to just place vision. The kill is not what's important. It's being able to track the enemy jungler, especially when it's one so weak as Zac. You know, if Crimson's able to meet him at a buff, that's a guaranteed kill.
Yeah, a buff or a scuttle crab, again, they're not quite as powerful as they used to be, but they're still definitely worth contesting in the early game. And you'd kind of be a dummy if you didn't give the advantage in the early game 1v1 to the Nocturne over the Zac. So if they cop the Zac on low hit points, maybe Crimson might look for an invade, specifically around the blue buff on the opposite side, or maybe he'll just secure himself the Rift Scuttlers and get himself the advantage in XP and gold.
Maybe a little bit inefficient use of wards. They placed 3 wards which essentially do the same thing. It may be unnecessary.
Crimson started top side on his red buff, so he's looking to quickly clear away the buff and the Raptors, and then maybe go for an invade on the blue buff of Danny Hood. Good to see whether Danny decides to path to the top side or stick around on the bottom.
Good training for Bembo. Like you said, Fiora, she needs to get that riposte before she can really start countering out these trades. So level 1, that's just going to be Aatrox's favored, of course. Shoving out this lane. Level 2 spikes, there absolutely is one solution. Thresh, I think it's one of the strongest in the game. Not so much for Morgana Twitch, but Morgana gets that black shield. She can counter any form of aggression that we might see from the jungler. Yams is landing a couple good E's in the mid lane.
Hasn't actually forced Orianna to burn through any of her potions yet. I think she took the early level in the shield just so as soon as she gets hit by the Never move, she can immediately just shield and block the chunk of damage that comes out from the passive. But V-Man on the Lucian has taken some harass from flammable objects in the early game, so maybe the level 2 engage might be a little riskier than it would otherwise be, especially with Crimson now. His jungle pathing has found himself on the bottom side of the map, didn't actually go for an aggressive play early on, so Danny just gets his jungle buffs for free, but so does Crimson on the opposite side. See whether he makes any aggressive moves towards the bottom lane, or will Danny Hood get there first as he's pathing towards mid?
So Orianna is going to be shoving out this matchup. As we all know, Swain, not very effective at pushing. He can just press Q a couple times. Looking for the engage. Crimson's there, doesn't land his Q. Started channeling that he has the red buff or 2. Slows, but, you know, there is the response from Zac. They're just going to back away from that one. Nothing really lost, but Yams is quite low. He needs to be really careful. I don't think he has any potions left on the corrupting, but we see Jackal at the level 3 roam from bot lane, coming straight out of stealth, looking for the auto attacks, but now flammable object is on his own in the bot lane, and he gets hit by the hook from the Thresh First Blood. Going over to Birmingham, Crimson gets in a bit of a kerfuffle, but is able to walk away from that one. That's really poorly communicated. Jackal leaving lane. There's no reason for Flammable to be standing up that far in that situation. He just needs to back away, sit under tower, wait for what's going to happen, wait for the wave to crash. And there we go, first blood to Birmingham. We talked about it. This could be an avenue for them to succeed.
Jackal doing his best Pike impression, going with the stealth attempt in the mid lane. Wasn't able to fully land the kill, but did force the summoner spell. Ideally, that should have been enough, and that should have been the end of it, but flammable object gets caught out in the bottom lane, and in the top as well.
An amazing riposte, perfectly used. He just read him like a book there, getting the stun off, making it so easy for this Zac to get the kill for the Fiora in the top lane. There we go. Now we've got 2 winning lanes for Birmingham, one of them being the counter pick in the top lane. This is a really good start for them, and especially when we talked about how Zac is so weak early and just sort of concedes. Well, they kind of haven't.
He's definitely turned that matchup around. He has found the attempts to make the aggressive plays only really in the top side. He actually had nothing to do at all with the bottom side pick. That was just nicely punished by Benjamin and V-Man, as Flammable got a little bit greedy for minions as he was alone in the bottom lane. But The big negative here for Overclappers is on both of their deaths, Flash has been burned in an attempt to escape, and they've gone down as well. So it's a big summoner spell, especially as these XP bars are starting to reach around the level 6 mark. That could be when you see some explosive team fights come out, and having that cooldown unavailable could really punish them.
If Zac is able to find a gank in the bot lane, irrelevant of the fact that Morgana will have the black shield, you're gonna have enough magic damage to break through it. 1 CC just needs to hit. She doesn't have the flash to avoid that. They're gonna need really good vision.
There was a game, was it King of the North? Something like that, where there was something like a Galio Zac as the combination. It was a Galio mid and Zac jungle. Never mind. As Jackal, death sentence, not enough damage to get through the black shield just at the moment. But as you say, Thresh himself brings, what, 2, maybe 3 CCs if you include the ultimate. With a Zac, it will definitely be enough.
We see Benny looking for the second prediction in a row. We saw Jackal slide upwards in the previous dodge, so he looks to see if he'll do it again. But there you go, that's the challenger in flex. Don't tell anyone it's in flex, just tell me challenger. Mechanics coming out from Jackal. He doesn't do the same thing twice. And just like that, he dodges the hook. Really good play, just thought I'd mention. Now, there's an Infernal Drake up right now. Let's talk about the scaling of these teams. Let's talk about the importance of that Drake for these guys.
Oh, Dark Binding on V-Man though. Might just cut you short, but
just a short trade. It's nothing huge. We can talk about this game.
Yeah, Crimson was looking to put some pressure on the Infernal Drake, but look at the pink wards coming out for the Birmingham D-Gens. They have got vision all over that area, and as Crimson's 6, he's hovering around looking for something in the bottom lane, but they just see it coming. He's going to clear it out though, and Yams is moving down. Could potentially see a dive.
Danny is also topside right now. This is the dives that we were talking about previously, but it is a level 6 Aatrox, so he will have the revive if they do look for something, and he's on max health, so that could be very unwise of them to go for. We see Fiora backing away, looking for the potential teleport if they need to, but they do the smart choice and just simply back away from the tower, conceding it over. Zac now looking for the engage onto him, has the let's bounce, pulls him back in. The ultimate did get used very early by Aatrox, so he's going to be able to get quite a large revive. They're now looking to see if they can get the bot tower. Hook comes down onto the Lucian. The ultimate from Nocturne's going to follow through. Jackal looking to spray and pray down onto them. Yams gets the first kill. Stopwatch is not going to be enough from Benny as he falls for the second kill. And in the top lane, Benbow was able to escape. Oh wait, the shockwave?
No!
What is that disrespect?
Hovered around. Okay. I saw Orianna come down, I saw her back away thinking her team was gone, but Flammable Object walks past on low health and gets deleted. Dabba finds the finish on that one, but Jackal finds the pickup on the tower, and that evens up the gold lead to almost exactly even. First blood tower going to Jackal. Maybe Overclappers are going to look for some pressure on this Infernal Drake now while they have the bot side priority. Or maybe they're just going to rotate their bot lane towards the top lane. But it was a well-executed dive. They found the picks they needed. Benjamin used the stopwatch, really to no effect. Honestly, I feel like it would have been better just to save the cooldown on that. But in a moment of panic, he pops it, wastes I suppose he wastes the entire rune, really, and falls anyway. Jackal picks up one of the kills, Yams the second. So the kill distribution going to the carries. That's a big positive for Overclappers, and Jackal doing a bit more Pike impressions, see if anything comes of this.
You have to assume that the call was made for Benny to stall for the Orianna to make it in time. Which is why he used the stopwatch. I think he's a good enough player that reflex, he should know that's not the right thing to do. Maybe Orianna made it sound like she was closer than she actually was, but yeah, mistake nonetheless. But another mistake is why Flammable was pathing back to the tower the route he went. He was low. He could have just waited for the minions to get to the tower. He didn't need to go close enough to the Orianna for that to happen. Again, another unnecessary death from him. But at least it's not game breaking. Like he said, the gold has been evened up. And now we see bot laners go to the top lane. And Zac is...
Oh, Danny Hood's top as well. Benny makes it really obvious that there's support around as he just walks past the minion wave and throws out a death sentence that's easily dodged. But Crimson and Yams hovering around for support of their own.
Danny Hood does. Oh no, he missed the stretching strike onto Flammable, but the Let's Bounce, followed by the Flash, is able to knock them up in time. Crimson does come through. Yams is there as well. Jackal trying to see how much damage he can get before he falls in the fight, but there is the shutdown now for Aiden Noom. Flashing away Crimson, looking to see if he can get the pick off onto the Thresh, but just about misses it. And it all went wrong for Keel.
All the teleports used is still not done as Yams not going to have a chance to get away from that one. Benbow's teleport was off cooldown, just came up as Yams was trying to escape, but it was too late as the entirety of the Degenerates team, damn I can't speak, collapse on that team fight and turn it around, pick up themselves 3 or 4 kills in that engagement, and it looks like they're taking the Rift Herald for free as well. It's going to open up the gold lead, especially if they can use that immediately and pick themselves up a tower. Maybe they'll hold on to it and find a more opportune moment, but either way, Shelly's going to be picked up. Benbow pops the ult.
A bit interesting.
Nothing came.
Yeah.
He just popped it for the movement speed to try and maybe find a pick on Dabva, but he has both summoner spells available, so definitely optimistic. Wasn't able to find anything from it. It's just going to be a wasted cooldown once again.
So this is what we're talking about. Keel has so many more tools to start the fight, but it wasn't them that started the fight. So they're scrambled from the start. You know, amazing engage from Danny Hood, amazing stall and CC onto the bot lane for Keel, instantly kind of taking them out of the fight in a sense. It just made it really difficult for Keel to even win that exchange, especially with the teammates coming in so delayed. And now a 7-3 kill difference, but only roughly 2k gold, so it's not huge. The game, again, still not over, and that Infernal Drake is still on board.
Did somebody say over Clappers UK? No, Danny was sat in the bush in the top lane. He was looking for the engage a little earlier on, but decided against it and didn't actually reveal himself, so he just was able to sit in the same bush and Flammable Object walking a little bit unsafely down the river, and he gets caught out by the elastic slingshot, and the follow-up was there as the entire team teleports in, but there's teleport not available.
That's looking to engage in onto the back line. Red team are able to secure Dragon, and now we have the Paranoia coming out from Nocturne. Decides to use it onto the Orianna. She's trying to look for a good shockwave. Flammable uses the Zonyas onto himself. We got the Cell Division coming out now from Zac. Yams is in the center of that, so he's probably going to be able to get the kill. Gets the kill onto the Thresh as well with the Demon Flare. On the back end of it, Zac does fall to Jackal, and now V-Man trying to escape with nothing left, turns for a little bit of damage, but that's just child's play as Jackal gets the double kill. And again, we talked about it, the team that initiates is the one that wins the fight. Kind of.
Yeah, it's a little back and forth, but Keel definitely got the advantage on that one. They picked themselves up the Infernal Drake and a few kills to boot. V-Man trying his best to run away, but has no tower as that was already taken down, so he will fall as well. The 4th kill of the game for Jackal. He's scaling up. Orianna, as you say, Crimson, good choice to go onto the Orianna and just got her down with the fear, forced her to use the stopwatch, just delayed her from joining the fight, was never able to get in and find any impactful abilities. I think Shockwave was still on cooldown as it is now. No, she used it only on the Nocturne in the back of that fight, so it really had no effect whatsoever, apart from maybe keeping herself alive. Had to burn the barrier to do so, but in the meantime, while that entire fight was happening, I said Aiden on Fiora has no teleport available, so he just sat top lane, pushed down a tower and a half, and forced the teleport out of Benbow. So that teleport advantage now evened up, even in favor of Birmingham, but another engage.
Spell shield.
Nicely Black Shield.
I think one of the key things to note about the previous fight, Danny Hood did get another good engage onto the backline, but there was no follow-up this time. He couldn't reach his teammates. Orianna was preoccupied, which was an excellent decision by Crimson. So we want to see that again. Danny Hood looking for an engage right here. There'll be a Black Shield, I'm sure. So they won't be able to do anything with it. This is why I really, really like Morgana. But the hook comes out. Yams in an awful position. The flash was a bit questionable. But he is going to go down. Now Fiora.
Aiden has a level advantage.
Get the tower. World Ender does get used by Bembo. She's just going to clear away the minions. She has the red buff as well. Now the minion wave is quite big. He's going to need to deal with that Jackal for some reason. Making the roam up to top lane means they open up the mid lane. They're going to be dropping
And Rift Herald.
Shelly. She's going to ram into that turret, and that's going to be a lot of damage.
That's going to just take the tower outright. So, waited for the opportunistic moment.
Oh
A good
my
call as it
word,
looks like
the
they're getting the double
trade.
charge.
What? Something happened mid. Now Crimson Longinus is dead. And Aiden
And
gets the
Bembo dies
1v1.
top.
Oh, it's falling apart. Birmingham are playing excellently in this game. Fiora absolutely utilizing her advantage, utilizing the counter pick. And in the mid lane, I don't know what happened to Spectator. It's not amazing, but they got the pick off onto Crimson, and he's going to fall down. There's a Black Shield. How are people getting picked?
The second mid tower of the game, the Black Shield has a cooldown, Oliver shouts. It's almost
but,
20 seconds
back
worth
up.
of cooldown.
Like,
It's almost a 20-second cooldown. I mean, but to be fair, I mean, he has a spell shield as well, but there's we touched on it. There's just so many different tools that Birmingham can use to start a fight. If the elastic slingshot is blocked by the spell shield, then Zac can go for the let's bounce to pull them back. There can be a death sentence, there can be a flash flay, a box, a shockwave, just anything to burn through the spell shield. And then it's like the ability just doesn't even exist. It's like such a core part of Morgana's kit, and they just have so many things that make it more or less irrelevant because they can burst through it and then have more and more CC anyway. And that's just winning them these fights over and over again. And they're now sitting on about a 5,000 gold lead for Birmingham. And Flammable looking like he might be in a tight spot again. Spell shield. That's not where I wanted to go.
I'm so confused. But Flammable now looking to try and make his escape. The hook is going to be there, the culling as well. Maybe
Black shield for
excessive
that.
use of the ultimates, but another unnecessary pick onto Flammable. I'm not entirely sure what happened with the plant there.
Yeah, I think we can safely say that Ollie Shouts' starter position on Overclappers is safely secured after this game. No offense, Mr. Flammable. But, I mean, come on. Jackal is 4-1 though, but still not able to find the openings to get that spray and pray down across the teams, as his team are just getting slowly picked apart before the fights can really even get started.
It's not so much he can't find the openings. I'm sure he can, but he hasn't got a crit item yet. So he doesn't want the openings. This is the struggle. This is why we said, you know, Twitch might not actually be that fantastic. Of course, when he gets to the 3-item spike, hell yeah it is. But can you reach the 3-item spike in this meta? This game so far is telling us no. But, you know, it's not over yet. It's only 18 minutes in. There's still a lot they can do to pull this back, and I'm sure if Jackal does get the opportunity to fully spray and pray onto the enemy team, it will do some work, but they got the pick. Onto Flammable again, looking for the ward, wasn't able to get it. World Ender is there for Bembo, but it's only going to delay his death as the shockwave comes out on the other side. Down onto Yams, he's going to use the bird mode to try and stay alive for as long as possible, and he ends up making the outplay, gets the kill onto Orianna as Jackal comes through for the assistance. Now they're trying to get this Zaki super fast though, as he's trying to run away. Finally hops over the wall, but all the meanwhile,
Tiny slingshot.
Fiora's in the top lane, taking a tower. This is the split push that we talked about. Oh, that
nice.
hook! Boy!
Does he have the follow-up though?
But now Jackal coming out of
V-Man
stealth. They weren't prepared for this. V-Man is going to go down. Ignite onto Yams probably won't be enough. Crimson now looking to get the kill. And just about getting it in time. The fear was
Jackal finds
crucial. The
Benjamin.
flash from Jackal. Ooh. Little bit questionable. I mean, it's like...
Yeah. Normally, if you say someone's playing disrespectfully, you mean it in a bad way, but Aiden this entire time has just been disregarding team fights and just disrespecting Keel under the towers. They're struggling to clear up these massive minion waves that he's built up, and he's just walking past them and hitting the tower. He did it to Yams, he's done it to Benbo. This time, can't find it against Crimson and Flammable Object. They, as a combo, will find the kill and take him down. And Jackal chases down Benjamin in the mid lane as well, as he gets a little bit overzealous after cancelling the recall of Yams.
Zach
It looks
coming
like
in.
it might even get a second Infernal.
Getting low, and blue team are able to steal it. Are they going to be able to walk away as well? Teleports start getting channeled and then cancelled. Yams was still in the top lane, so if they did actually go for that fight, it would have been horrendous for them. I don't know, it was a bit of a risky call to go for that Infernal, especially whilst you still saw the vision on it. They're trying to find something after that, you know, bad sort of fight that previously occurred, but maybe it was a little too disrespectful. And now Baron is
Danny
what
Hood.
Birmingham has their eyes on.
Danny Hood in that one Twitch clip, well known, again from that one Twitch clip, of his objective steals Flammable Object.
So, I need to talk about this. We've seen this, what, not 6 times, but we've seen this a lot of times now.
I think someone needs a Farsight alteration.
The issue which we're in right now is, firstly, yes, Jackal should have a blue trinket right now. He should have had it for ages. When you're in the situation where you're forced to scout it, you need to have that as an answer, otherwise it's almost guaranteed death. But what we're seeing is the vision hasn't been placed preemptively. If you think that Baron is an option for the enemy team within the next 2 or 3 minutes, you need to have a ward already placed. You can't be forcing yourself into these situations where you're forced to face check it to get the vision, because trust me, they're there. They're gonna kill you. Now Jackal's showing up into the bot lane, seeing if he can get the solo kill. But it's not in time, but now that there's 2 people in the bot lane, Baron is getting started. Danny Hood's taking quite a lot of damage from this teleport. Is now being channeled by Benbow. He's super low on health though. Pops out of the wall. Yams gets a good grab. Nocturne following through onto V-Man, who has really been having a bit of a difficult game, I would say. And just like that, really ballsy Baron call comes out, and it doesn't pay off. But Orianna still has the shockwave. This is a Baron. It reduces their MR. They're getting low on health. They might be able to get the 2v5 turnaround here. Not if they get the pick off though. Look how grouped they are. Going back onto the Baron. Yams zoning. Thresh needs to get an amazing hook here. And there needs to be an amazing shockwave. Danny Hood is coming back. He respawned
Baron
in
is
time.
regen.
Hook has come. Regen from the Baron. Flammable is solo. They're forced to leave this. And this might just be an opportunity for the blue team to restart it. Hook comes out. Does get stopped.
If Flammable had died to that Luden's Echo and the Baron auto attack, that would have just been devastating. Doesn't okay, decided not to go down, but Zach's gonna go for it anyway.
Jackal is getting engaged on. The Let's Bounce is gonna come through. Doesn't even need it actually. The shockwave onto 2. Jackal firing, doing so much damage though, as he completely obliterates the backline. Zach goes into cell division, but it wasn't enough. Jackal's damage, I told you he had the crit item and now he's doing work. There's not the Infinity Edge, but it doesn't matter. Still did so much with barely any life left. But let's go back to it. What an amazing stretching strike from Danny Hood.
Yeah, just squeezed through the entire team and managed to catch the 10 health Flammable Object, slams him back into his AD carry and finishes off that kill before he even has a chance to flash away. And I think if Flammable was in that fight, imagine, even if he's low health, imagine what he could have done with the Soul Shackles as the team is just collapsing, trying to kill Jackal's Twitch, and he still manages to pick up 2 of the 3 kills and knock Zac into Cell Division, which Yams came close but wasn't quite able to finish off. Not able to interrupt the Elastic Slingshot, so he'll get himself away from that sticky situation. But all of this just falls back into the Baron play, and as it says, as you mentioned, Birmingham had the preemptive vision and they were able to get the start on it, but V-Man collapsed on with the Paranoia, taken out of the fight, and Dabra was hovering on the side, just waiting to get a good opportunity for a shockwave. Wasn't able to find it.
Right.
But it almost didn't matter as Keel basically died to Baron anyway.
There is a huge wave bot lane right now. There is no teleport. Keel don't need to do anything. They just need to wait for someone to show bot and rush either a target or rush Baron. And they're gonna see V-Man show up. They're gonna see the AD carry in the bot lane. Just look for the Baron and then make it a big bait.
Just fuck that.
There it is, the engage from the Paranoia coming down onto the Fiora. She is going to get Fear Jackal coming through, looking to get the auto attacks off. Doesn't get the kill, flashes forwards with the spray and pray and does get it. Shockwave! Oh my word! Dabba!
That was You know what, I'm not even going to finish that sentence. I'm not going to say he dabbed on them, but he definitely just did. He just hit a disgusting shockwave under the tower. Jackal flashed forwards under the tower to finish off the kill on Aidenum and just didn't have it available to get out, and Benbo's going to die as well.
That might just be the game-winning play right there. Yams looking to see if he can get the solo kill in the mid lane, but
I don't think he
doesn't have
wins
enough
this.
damage. Oh, that
It was close. I'll give him that. Didn't
That's
see
a
it
fight
being
for
that
Earth.
close.
The respawns do come through, but is Jackal
A
gonna be able to
delayed
win?
ace, but there will be a chance to defend the
back
opening
away.
inhibitor.
Doesn't have the
Jackal.
spray and pray here. He doesn't even have red buff either, so it's just auto attacked. And they do convince them to back off. Again, Baron's still on the board.
Oh,
no,
not
flammable!
again.
Flammable!
Oh, Benny. How many times is he going to just Garen cosplay, just sit in a bush and wait for
They're
someone to
just
base check
reading
in?
him. Like, after
How
the
many
fourth
times is that gonna be
time,
flammable?
you know it's just going to keep happening. So, why not keep trying for it? And that's the third Infernal of the game.
Yeah, unfortunately for Kiel, it's not their third Infernal of the game. That would definitely be an avenue to keep them in the game. As Jackal stacking up the AD damage. He's got 10 kills to his name. But it's difficult when that's 2/3 of his team's kills and they still have less than their opponents.
Have a look.
He's doing a ton of damage in these fights, but there's too many threats for him to deal with by himself. And it just doesn't have the support available to him as his team is just too far behind.
Have a look at the top difference in this game.
Wow. Yep.
That's about 5,000 gold. Nearly double CS.
Yeah, he does it count as Flame Horizon if it's not even in one lane, it's just everywhere because Fiora just doesn't sit still. There was one point where she was tower diving him and Aiden had like 3 or 4 levels up over Benbo. Benbo's really struggling in this game to get anything going, and it could just be down to the counter pick or it could just be down to execution, but either way, Birmingham getting started on Baron.
There's no vision.
No vision again
This
for
is
Kiel. Could use a Vision of Empires to get a little bit of vision. They see the Orianna ball, they know
Found
they're
it.
taking Baron.
Teleport starts getting channeled by the Fiora. They're going to use the Paranoia, looking for the correct target to engage on. Yams
Oh,
gets
yeah.
instantly blown up by the hook. The start of the fight, Spray and Pray is doing serious work though by Jackal. They
Jackal,
finally
though.
get the line on the shockwave
Another
yet
one.
again! This Orianna has been absolutely crucial in this game, landing the shockwave after shockwave and destroying Kiel's team. Now they're going to frontline it to the top inhib and take that down.
This
Still
time,
not a Baron,
not a clean 5-for-0. This time it's only a sort of dirty-ish 5-for-2 as Aiden and Benny are taken down in that fight by really good positioning from Jackal to get the spray and pray. Pretty much across the entire team, did a ton of damage, but he lost vision as Orianna walked around the corner, repositioned the ball, and just hit him with a 3-man shockwave that just deleted the remaining members of Overclappers. And they're going to have their inhibitor deleted, and Zach not going to be able to take the mid-inhib turret. Dabver not able to find anything more in the bottom lane. So potentially could have capitalized a little more on that lead. Maybe they could have turned for the Baron instead and then gone to siege the inhibitors at this point rather than the other way around where they've taken the inhibitor and then go for Baron. But as V-Man's pushing the wave in top, that top lane will passively push in and eventually start threatening Nexus towers, at which point Kiel have to make the choice. Do we want to contest Baron or have a base? And it's going to be a difficult choice.
Birmingham
Don't see an easy way out.
given up a load of pressure around the Baron for no reason, as far as I'm aware, which allows Kiel to just walk in, place their own vision, get rid of Birmingham's. I'm kind of confused about that. They kind of gave up the pressure. I mean, after they got bot side shoved in, they got mid shoved in, and top is slowly shoving in, at that point you just control around the Baron area. Even if you have to go for like 1 or 2 backs, you still stick around the area. And now Jackal looking to see if he can make an opening possible. Oh, my word. That was half of Yams' health with a QW from Mario. That's absolutely nuts. This is it.
Orianna doing a lot of work, but Aiden in the bottom lane has no teleport available. Maybe with a nice shockwave, could be able to just.
Oh no, they got the hook off onto Yams. Shockwave again onto 3 targets. Yams is able to Zhonya's before he dies, but Jackal's firing away. The auto attacks are huge. They're going to be able to get 2 kills in this fight. Cell Division's coming out.
Oh no,
Jackal was looking for the recall, but V-Man was on the back end, was able to interrupt it. Fiora is just destroying the base right now. Doesn't matter if they're able to walk away from this one. V-Man getting the cleanup quadra kill. Can he convert it into a penta? He's looking to chase down Yams, but I don't think he's going to get the opportunity.
The game's already over.
As he starts to teleport, it doesn't matter. Birmingham are able to secure the win.
Oh no, that felt so bad. The one fight where Jackal doesn't get hit by the shockwaves and has a chance to free hit across the entire team, and he gets caught recalling. He's trying to go back and defend the base. He was in stealth as well, just to top it all off, but V-Man comes in from the side, culls him down, and runs down Overclappers, finishes off the quadra kill as Aiden just casually stands around and lets the minions take the base. I think he was trying to delay the Nexus explosion for as long as possible to give V-Man a chance to chase down the Penta, but super minions were too strong. They were already there pushing. And that's going to be a relatively convincing victory for Birmingham over the Overclappers.
That is a crucial win, especially being that this is the final week before playoffs starts. You have to be in that top 8, otherwise your run is over. And with that, we can probably see Kiel hovering around 8th place now.
Yeah,
so
Kiel
they need
have
to win the next 2 games. They
5 victories. Degenerates with that win put themselves up at 7th, which at the start of today puts them in a solid 3rd place behind Noob Slayers and Waluigi of Warwick and Loughborough. So they're looking in a really nice position for the playoffs. Could get themselves relatively good seeding, dodge out on some of those really hard matchups, but again, just really nicely played. They seem to know the matchups a little better. I think Benbow, you say he has a lot of experience on Aatrox. He knows the champion, but Fiora, he couldn't do anything. Fiora was just styling on him, walking past him, hitting towers for free, and he just couldn't compete with just the mechanics of the champion. Just counter it hard, I think, in that lane. He has very little that he can actually do without some assistance from his team, which never really came through as the top 2 champions. The top side for Kiel kind of fell behind. It was all the eggs in the Jackal basket, and this time a few of them smashed from some incredible shockwaves from Dabva, and they managed to pick up the game in just over 30 minutes.
And with that, we're going to go to a 5-minute break, and when we return, we're going to have Pool Party Lugs supposedly against Birmingham that we just watched. So we're going to get to see them twice. Hopefully we see more Orianna, because that was fantastic. Yeah, come back in 5 minutes, lads.
And you know how to forget all the wrongs and every reason why we've changed. And there's a storm inside my head. It's getting me in trouble, baby, and I can't break away. I thought that I could keep it low. Take it easy, take it slow. We ended up just like before, so take it easy, take it easy. I thought that I could keep it low. Take it easy, take it slow. We ended up just like before, so take it easy.
When I close my eyes before going into Universum, I think about the moment we were hoping wouldn't end, because I never knew it was my imagination. I never wanted to say what I said, I just wanted an explanation. Never wanted
universe inside you. So won't you wake up now and see? Don't hide away the things you're feeling. Unlock your mind and lose the key. There's a universe inside you. You should never have to hide. I can see the stars inside you. Please just open up your eyes. There's a universe inside you. Inside you, so much more than people know. I've seen you fighting your emotion. I hope you stay and won't let go. There's a universe inside you, so much love to leave behind. Stop the path of devastation. You should live for all the hype. Inside you, why are you pushing it away? Leave behind your own deception and learn to live another day. There's a universe inside you, your galaxy of happiness. I just wanna help you find it. We'll explore in baby steps. There's a universe inside you. You've gotta give it room to breathe. So let the universe excite you, 'cause that's the way it's meant to be.
They said to wait for the right time, and I think tonight might just be right. I know you want to do it too, so bring your courage, there's no rules.
Welcome back for game 2. I am on. I'm joined once again by Saga. For this game, we're going to be watching Pool Party Ludes from Lancaster versus, yet again, the Degenerates from Birmingham. They picked their names, not us. Just don't want to cause any confusion. We did just see Birmingham play and destroy Kiel, as upsetting as that was to watch. And now we're going to see if they can do it again.
I enjoyed it. I had a good time.
Yeah, I'm sure
I
you
think
enjoyed it. Yeah.
watching anyone destroy Kiel, I mean, I'll take it. But up against a team that is statistically superior, as Pool Party Ludes go up against the Degenerates of Birmingham, who are the 4th and 5th ranked teams in the table as of the start of today. The previous game might have shuffled things around. There could be a sort of 3rd, 5th matchup going on, but we're in the top sort of 5 teams here, so expect to see some very nice plays, some very well thought out strategies, and maybe not so much of a stump fest as Kiel just experienced.
Yes, now we're just waiting for the players to hit ready and start. Till then, let's go in a little bit of backstory about the Lancaster team. So week on, week off, they've had their mid laner, they're not had their mid laner. When they've had their mid laner, they've 3-0'd. When they've not had them, they've 0-3'd. They don't have them this week.
Yikes!
And
So
they
that's
lost their
not
first game.
okay. That's not looking entirely positive
No.
for the team. Aatrox, the first ban. I mean, they had the answer for Aatrox, but now they're not even going to get a chance to play them themselves, as that's taken away from Birmingham. We'll see if they try and target ban anything towards the mid laner who's absent in a similar way we were expecting maybe a Braum ban, but no, these guys seem to have done their research, as Zach will be taken away from Danny Hood. No green blobby engages for him, but Jan are going to be the ban for Birmingham. See what their second ban is in just a second.
From playing Lugs, I want to say once. It could have been twice. I know Ed plays a decent Graves. I'm not sure what else was notable about their performance though when we did play them.
I told Danny in between the games, I sent him a message and said, hey, can you make sure you finish this game quickly because I'm going to be late for my Dungeons & Dragons game. And as soon as the Zach ban came through, he just messaged me and said, all right, we FF, go next. So that's one way to finish it quickly. So we'll be back in just 5. No, just kidding. But Draven going to be taken away once again for V-Man. Obviously, that is a big power pick for himself in the bottom lane. And Jin going to be taken away from Lugs, the pool party team. So we'll see what the first pick will be.
As a side note, in game 1, we finally saw the Warwick versus Loughborough matchup. It wasn't on stream, but you know the two top teams finally played against each other. Warwick were having to use a substitute top laner to play mid lane for them. So I've been told they got smashed by Loughborough. So now we do have the definitive first team, which is Loughborough. And one of their best picks is Pike, and now we're going to be seeing Birmingham putting it out as well.
Yeah, Pike. He had an incredible stroke of games last week, as we saw. I think it was Loughborough where the Pike had something like 11-0-16 as the stat line at the end of the game. It was pretty ridiculous just what Pike can do, just with the stealth mechanic going in. Ganking all the lanes, he doesn't necessarily have to sit in the bottom lane like a lot of supports can do. He's very heavy on the roaming and very heavy on the damage, and can easily punish squishy targets like the Zoe that's been locked in the middle lane. Teamed up again with the Orianna for Dabva, and we saw what that did in the previous game. Those 4-man shockwaves, a thing of beauty. Going up against Lucian, and looking like Na might be the pickup in the top lane for Lugs.
I'm curious what V-Man's going to play here. I mean, we know Draven's his main champion, and then he follows that up with Lucian, but that's now off the board. I want to say I wasn't very impressed by V-Man's play in the previous game up until that quadra kill right at the very end. So if the level of play on this next AD carry that he's now going to pick reduces even further, I might question that as an opportunity for Lancaster to take this game. Like we said in the previous game, the bot lane is an avenue, and I want to see if that's going to happen. We see Xayah picked. She's decent, but I feel like she's better with Rakan than Pike.
Yeah, I would be surprised if Rakan makes it through this second stage of bans, but then again, they have the Pike locked in, so never mind. Scratch that. Again, Xayah has some tools that she can use to follow up on Pike's engage, but Xayah maybe not doing quite as much damage as some lane dominant AD carries, for example Draven, might do in the early game, but Pike definitely makes up for that lack of damage, and they can definitely find some picks in the bottom lane if things go correctly for them. And it looks like they're going to be banning away tanky supports so they can make that more possible for themselves, as degenerates of Birmingham take away Braum and Alistair. See what the response is as Camille taken out. Going to be taking that away from Aiden. See if they target him again with a second, or whether they'll go back towards Danny Hood's champion pool and take another jungler.
Morgana's still on the board. She's the support that springs to mind for me. I think Pike is pretty strong against her because just the amount of physical damage he does. He can kind. It sounds weird, but whenever I've played the matchup, and I know I'm not that good a player, the Pike is dominated regardless of the fact that there's a black shield. Just because he kills Morgana, he doesn't care about the CC. So that could be an option, but it might not necessarily guarantee the winning lane. Akali?
I've hit the message. Proxy picks coming in because V-Man is obviously a Draven one trick and has no other champions. Akali is Jarvan. I'll pass on the message. Okay, never mind. They just cancelled the thing. I was going to message them, but that's fine.
Nice. Jarvan. They've got that with the Orianna, correct?
They have indeed. Dab got his Orianna back, and well, we said Zac and Orianna is a good engage combo. How about Jarvan Orianna? That's definitely a good replacement.
I prefer Jarvan, to be honest. Again, like I said, I think Zac should be weaker in the early game. We saw that. We saw Danny Hood was able to make proper use of it to negate those sort of expectations, but Jarvan feels stronger. Especially with the sort of changes which we've seen in previous patches. I think he's a much more damage-oriented champion now, which usually then means a better early to mid-game.
And I think it plays in a little bit to what you were just talking about with Pyke, where he doesn't really care about a black shield from Morgana because he doesn't deal the magic damage. He deals physical damage, and it only blocks magic damage, so they just kill the target anyway. They don't really need to CC them. Jarvan's a similar thing, as most of his damage, with the exception of maybe the Demacian standard, is physical damage. And does it matter if you can't crowd control someone if you lock them in a little cage that they physically can't escape? And that just gives a perfect opportunity for Dabba to find shockwaves across multiple targets. Not like he needs the support, but it's there if it's available for him.
Absolutely. We never really saw the engage where the ball was put onto the Zac. So maybe we'll actually see that this time round with the Jarvan, or maybe we'll just see the Jarvan as a setup. Maybe even just forcing flashes, which then makes the shockwave easier to land. Either way, Dabba. Nope. Dabba. I'm
Dabba.
struggling to say his name.
You have to think of him as a Fortnite player,
but
and his name makes sense.
But I don't want to think about Fortnite players.
That's a very good point. I'd prefer we didn't.
I want to sleep tonight.
I also don't particularly want to think about Zoe because it's definitely a tilter champion to play against.
Absolutely.
And if she gets the advantage and gets the lead, the amount of damage that she can deal purely with the paddle stars can be enough to put off the engage comp that's being drafted here for Birmingham. Maybe if she's able to find the damage, it might put off the Danny from going for engages with the Jarvan, but I think the engage comp is strong enough that even if Jarvan or Pyke dies early on, they'll still have enough to follow up and find the kills, especially if Dabba is finding the shockwaves like he was in the previous game.
I want to see who the top lane is now, because in the previous match I think we saw a Gnar ban, we saw some ranged top lane bans, correct? My memory's failing on me right now, but we even saw the Fiora. Gnar is now picked up for Lancaster. We're going to see what counters there are to that champion. I'm not sure. I think Aurelia is pretty good against him.
The old school counter of Yasuo into Gnar was one that was picked up.
That is very true.
Another aggressive pick for the top side of Lancaster as they take the Kindred for the jungle themselves. So that's a lane dominant top laner and a potentially aggressive jungler as well. Looking like they're trying to get some early advantages around the top side of the map. Get that going. They just have a support to pick, and it will be Rakan. So Xayah against Rakan. No lovers duo. They're having a bit of a fallout, lovers quarrel this game, but definitely a strong composition, if a little bit squishy, with the exception of the Gnar. So definitely potential for those engages from Birmingham to find the impact that they're looking for.
I'm still questioning why they didn't just go with Rakan instead of Pyke. Like, he's an excellent ball delivery system, you know.
I think Pyke... I feel like they were hoping to draft the Lucian for themselves. This was V-Man. He sort of fell back on that as his backup pick when his Draven's taken away. So I don't think they were expecting to get Rakan as they came into this draft. They were hoping that they would get their hands on Lucian. So they went for the first pick on Pike because, as we said, he's such high priority. He does so much for his team. He roams exceptionally well. He can find picks. He can engage fights potentially if you extend the range on the stun with the flash, and he can finish them with the execute. Imagine a Pike execute, the death from below, over an entire team that's just been shockwaved all into the same place. It's a lot of combo potential. And it looks like Adenum is going to be taking the carry matchup into the top lane against the Gnar. So trying to combat a little bit against that lane dominance that they've drafted around the top side of the map and try and gain some advantages of their own.
So that was the other ranged top laner that got banned. Now I can remember. How do you feel about Jace into Gnar? Honestly, never seen the matchup, never played it, so I'm not too sure how it would go.
I think Gnar generally tends to get the advantage over most laners, especially very early on. Jace could potentially be one of the exceptions, as a large part of Gnar's priority comes from the fact that he is ranged into generally melee matchups, but Jace definitely will scale much, much harder as he starts to get those items. Lethality likely going to be the build, as we said, Gnar is the only real tanky target, and even Gnar tends to build a damage item or two before he commits to the tanky items. So Jace with those empowered shock blasts definitely has a host of targets to try and find, and he can chunk health bars down rapidly. So I think later on in the game, Jace definitely has the overall advantage for that one. And I think Jace generally a little bit better in the split pushing 1v1, if that's the way that he decides to play this game. If the last game's Fiora is anything to take away from, as he has the hyper that he can knock down the towers with. I think hyper's Gnar, isn't it? It's hyper something. Jace's ranged form W, the quick 3 attacks, knock down the towers super quick.
Hypercharge?
Something like that.
Maybe.
Hyper against Hypercharge. We'll see who has the better W coming into this matchup. See who gets the W as the top lane. Looking like it might be a place where we'll see some aggression in the early game. Potentially both junglers could definitely make an impact in that lane if they're able to find the roots.
Say Gnar hops in and the Jace is quick enough in his hammer form. Can he Thundering Blow him out of the fight so then he can't, fully engage? Is that an interaction?
It depends. Gnar has the capability of sort of buffer casting the Gnar ultimate if he gets the transform as he hops in. So if you land the bounce hop in your mini Gnar form, but that is the spell that triggers the transformation, you'll get the hop and you can sort of cast the ult mid-air and it repositions you. So by the time Jace would be in a position to use the knockback, it would already be too late and he would already be stunned. But that depends a lot on the situation, because Gnar is a difficult champion to play around the rage mechanic, where you have to build up the bar and you have to be in the correct position where you can take advantage of it. So it's something that could potentially come up, but I'm not expecting it to have any significant impact. But it'll be definitely something to look out for.
All right, we are in the loading screen for the people in chat that are asking. Again, we're going to have to get to about 10 seconds, pause ourselves, catch up, rearrange the scoreboard, probably fix my monitor thing because it doesn't matter what I do. League just opens on the wrong one, and it's done it again. Unfortunate. We don't really talk about late games that much anymore because it never feels like there is a late game with the current meta. But if it was to get to that 6-item, Baron, Elder Dragon sort of situation, who do you think takes it with these comps?
Again, a lot of it comes down to execution of team fights, but I think the easier and more impactful 5v5 team fight, you have to give it to Birmingham. You have the Pike to find the picks, you have the Jarvan Orianna combo to get fights started. Xayah and Jace can poke people down from decent range, and while that'll be mirrored a little bit from the Zoe, you touched on it before, the starting mid laner is absent for the Lancaster team, and so that could potentially be something that is a little bit of their downfall, as we saw Dabva have a monster game last game, and if he's up against a substitute, It could be a little bit imbalanced in the mid lane, and that could be an advantage that's picked up for the Birmingham team. But playing around objectives, I think it's near enough impossible to take away the advantage from the Birmingham side that they've drafted themselves into.
I'm paused at 10. I'm just fixing everything once again.
Yeah, just get everyone in the right order first.
Oh, you know what I love?
Lancaster's already in
Lancaster already being in order. That is beautiful.
Oh, those guys, man. So cute. Look at them. Alrighty, I'm 10
3,
seconds. We're good to go.
2, 1, begin. And now I've got to transition it over here. Alright. Level 1s. We see some pings from the red team. It does look like they're going to be going with a standard layout. But blue team, they're going with the pause. An excellent strategy. I've seen it a couple times before. It really messes with, you know, their headspace of the enemy team. Really makes them think, oh, what are we going to do now?
I see Ed black screened, and the support has about 1,000 ping. Living up to his name are lag. So that's what I like to see. So hopefully we'll get this sorted out quickly and get back into the game, because I'd rather not sit here for half an hour on a pause screen just hypothesizing about what could potentially happen at level 1.
So for anyone watching that doesn't know the rules, you get about 15 minutes pause time per team. So this can only go on for 15 minutes. We'd rather it doesn't, but there is the potential for it. Now, taking it back to the discussion of the 5v5 fights, Jace is not very good at those. But are we actually expecting Adenum after the previous game to be in those fights? Or is he just going to be in a side lane, hammering away at your inhib?
Yeah, that's kind of the question. I think it depends entirely on who gets the advantage in the top lane. As Nah can be a split pushing champion, but ideally for the Lancaster team comp, you need him there because he is the main force in these team fights, has the transformation into the ultimate. He's really the only, with the exception of Rakan. Rakan can start a fight, but he himself is quite squishy, and it will likely be blown up almost immediately if things don't go entirely their way. So you need him there to really secure the engage that our lag will be coming for. They're unpausing the game. But it depends, I think. Aiden tends to play the split pushing style, but Jace has his role in 5v5s. Really good poke damage later on in the game. Could even rival a Zoe's, as his is bigger AoE, but V-Man playing a dangerous game. Oh, he spotted him out with the ward. But now what are they going to do?
They've got the slowdown. Benny gets a stun off. Taking a bit of an awkward position. V-Man now flashing over the wall. And they didn't follow with their own flashes there, so I think the correct call from Lancaster. Bit of an interesting attempt at level 1 from Birmingham, like only sending 2 people in. Bit peculiar, but at the end of the day, it's just a flash burn for V-Man, and I expect, I want to say that's iLuffy. Is that how it's pronounced? iLuffy? Kindred. I expect Kindred to be bot lane.
Yeah, I think they were just going for a little bit of shallow vision there. I don't think they were looking for anything too deep on the buff itself, but got caught out of position. I think it was a good idea for Benjamin to split up and go a separate way, because that split up those chasing him, so they split 2v2, 2 chasing Desire, 2 chasing Pike. And that enabled V-Man to get himself out alive, if down a summoner spell, but no gold given over, no health advantage as he was able to get the recall off. And now they're back in the lane. He's already doing a decent chunk of damage onto Lucian.
I find it interesting, the pathing from the junglers. You would assume that Kindred would look to make some sort of a play bot side, so maybe a blue side, blue buff start, so then she can finish her route and be near that for a gank. It looks like Jarvan was being prepared to mirror that, so instead of getting the leash from the bot lane, he started at the red, took quite a bit of damage for it, but that means he will be bot lane in case there is a gank, considering that Desire doesn't have the flash. It was a good hook from Benny, getting some good trades off. Both AD carries dropped to about half health, and we see I'm gonna say Rigo. Had to pop the pot, and now V-Man's gonna do the same.
I talked about this a little bit last week with Counterfeit, but when Kindred's in the game, you have a little sort of mini mind game you have to play with yourself. Because a little known fact that Meteos actually made more common knowledge on the analyst desk, and nope, nothing more going to come from that. But the first mark that Kindred gets from a jungle camp will 100% of the time spawn on a Scuttle Crab. So I think he was trying to anticipate that Jarvan would start on the blue buff and go for the bottom side Scuttle Crab, and he sort of flipped the coin and hoped that he'd be able to secure it on the top and hope that the mark spawned there. Unfortunately, neither of those two things happened as Danny started
a really poor situation.
Uses his free ghost and flash to get out.
Ooh, good
little chunk of damage. But yeah, no, Kindred did secure the Scuttle Crab on top side, but the mark spawned bottom. And Danny, as you said, mirrored the jungle pathing where he started on his own top side and moved down. So he even took that mark away. So that means that Kindred isn't going to have another mark spawn for a solid couple of minutes, which is really going to hinder that aggressive early game play that she's going to be wanting to go for.
I just realised that Ed is playing top right now for Lancaster. He was jungling when I played him last time. So you can really feel it's not just that they're using a sub, they're role swapping their players to make it work. So it's going to be more than just that one position feeling uncomfortable.
Aiden getting some big chunks of damage down onto Ed. He's already starting to live up to his name there. End my suffering, please. As he's getting poked down by shock blasts under the tower. Fortunately, Jace is a mana-based champion, so he won't be able to do that indefinitely. But he's already forced Ed on Gnar to burn through his potion. He only has the Doran's Blade for sustain. Could teleport back, but that's really not the ideal situation.
We see Dabba in the mid lane. I said it correct. There we go.
Hey, that's my boy.
He's seriously winning these trades. He's seriously up in mana, and he's not even used one of his health pots. So whatever he's doing in that mid lane, it is working. He's a tiny bit down in CS, but another pause comes out.
I think a little bit of his advantage has to be attributed to the fact that Danny Hood went for the gank attempt quite early on, forced Cameron to flash away, and did a good chunk of damage with the Martial Cadence empowered auto attack. So that's going to take a good chunk out of a Zoe's health bar early on in the game, and she's still not fully recovered from it. Every time she walks up to try and hit some minions, she takes an Orianna ball to the face, and she's already kind of struggling, but keeping up in minion kills. All right, stop it. Keeping up in minion kills across the board. Now we're just hoping that we get this pause over and settled again.
I bet they're Virgin Media.
Could be. I hear a lot of bad things about a lot of ISPs.
Just every single one, to be honest. They're all terrible.
I used to be on Talk. That was
no.
Jinkies. Technically,
back
it wasn't
in
even
my day, dial-up.
Technically, it wasn't even Talk that was my provider. It was Tiscally.
Oh,
Remember that?
wow.
They haven't been a thing for like 8 years, as far as I was concerned, until I found out I was using them. No, we got it switched up. I can actually open an internet browser while I have the game open at the same time now, which is nice.
Remember
Maybe.
AOL?
Yeah, maybe Rakan needs to close his internet browsers and that'll sort out his ping a little bit. Trying to ghost on the stream.
Mm-hmm.
Less of that, thank you.
We see Cameron, he's rocking the minion dematerializers. So he's certainly having a rough early game in this lane, but his push should increase, especially once he gets the mana regen available for him and he can start actually one-shotting the minions with the paddle star. I think he'll just be able to avoid even going for these trades of Orianna if he continues to lose them, which will be really good for neutralizing the lane.
Yeah, it doesn't take a lot of AP for Zoe to be able to one-shot minions with all the damage amplification that she gets on the paddle stars. She's watching Korean dramas in 4K. Okay, yeah, that'll do it. Yep. But as you say, the minion dematerializer are going to help out with that, hopefully get to that point earlier. As soon as he picks up the Lost Chapter, he can start pushing in the waves and maybe looking for some roaming attempts. See if we can get some impact down in one of these side lanes, as we are 5 minutes of pausing down.
Alright, so there's three things wrong with that. Sorry to cut you off, but firstly, they're watching Korean dramas. Secondly, they're watching it in 4K. And thirdly, they have a 4K screen and they're watching Korean dramas with it instead of doing anything else. What are they doing? Come on.
Well, what would you do with a 4K screen, Ollie? Cast League of Legends?
play game, watch film. I don't know. Something.
Yeah,
Why do they
maybe.
film Korean dramas in 4K? What? That's another reason. What?
Yeah, that one I can't answer. I don't know. Maybe they. I mean, South Korea especially is pretty well known for its telecommunications, right? I mean, SKT and KT, both are two pretty well-known, big-name Korean teams, you might say, for various games, are sponsored by telecom companies, and generally it's accepted that their quality of service is much higher than it is for Western audiences. So I guess it makes sense that streaming 4K wouldn't be anywhere near as out of the ordinary as it is for us. In Korea and some other Asian countries as well. But to stream it here, come on, your brother's playing League of Legends. He's got games on.
Love Island on 4K. That's what we need.
Oh,
Some EastEnders.
so we can count the amount of collagen implants they've had in their lips. Hell yes, let's go. That's the point. These games need to finish quick.
Oh, they're ready. Wait.
Ooh. No, that was the. Oh, they're asking ready.
Yeah, and then they said ready. So, pause? Are we going to get back into the game? Come on. Come on.
Okay.
Tell me the
Any
internet's
day now.
fixed. Please.
Any day. They asked ready and then didn't do anything. Come on. Let's point out that if anyone starts flaming and gets reported in this game, the chat log is going to be really weird because everyone's just typed like paragraphs at the exact same second. Mucho gracias, though. They've unpaused the game. We're going to get back into this.
Freedom. Right, Jarvan. He's not gone with the warrior. That's what I would have expected. I want to see that early game aggression, that damage. Ooh, a good trade coming from Rigo. He saw the opportunity. The cooldowns were down for V-Man, so he just went in for the dash. Was able to just stay out of the zone of threat of Benny. And made something of nothing.
Yeah, it looks like during the pause, everyone just lost their minds, got bored of nothing happening, so immediately get back into the game, go straight for a fight. Nothing really going to come from that. And V-Man has almost got his flashback available from, you know, when he got caught out invading the jungle like 15 minutes ago. But yeah, that's almost back available, so a little bit more safety for him in that lane. As both junglers pushing around the bottom side. Danny has the mark on him.
Orianna is further away right now than Zoe. Sleepy Bubble Trouble trying to be super good. Rigo trying to get away from this one. The Bone Skewer does get dodged by him. Knockup falls down as well. Benny didn't take too much damage. Remember, he can regen from this V-Man as well, weaving in those auto attacks.
But Luffy's here.
Let's see what he's going to be able to do with this. Flashing straight forwards, gets the slow off. Doesn't get the third auto attack though. The Bone Skewer comes out, the Ignite, the tower, and Danny Hood is there for the first blood.
Ooh, that was a really nice turnaround. It looked as though Luffy had V-Man locked in his sights there. As he forced Danny Hood off the Scuttle Crab, he had the priority. He actually got the mark up from the Scuttle Crab, but it's not over.
Going for it again. Good flash to guarantee the stun. Knock up down onto Danny Hood. He's taking a lot of damage. Ignite falls down onto him as well, but I'm not sure they're going to be able to get close enough to him to follow up with the finisher. Now Benny trying to escape away from this one. He goes invisible. They flash forwards to guarantee they can see him. Tries to turn it around, but they have enough damage. Excellent play from Lancaster bot lane.
Making up a little bit for the overstep of aggression by the jungler, as unfortunately the kill picked up for the support with 1000 ping. Not exactly the ideal point for that to go, as V-Man picks up the first blood for himself in the lane. So a little bit of a mismatch in gold value for AD carries, but it's not going to be anything overly significant this far into the game. But a good little turnaround on the attempted engage. Lucian, Regilide's Lucian had no mana whatsoever, but he was able to be kept alive by some good shielding and heals from Rakan and forced Danny Hood to back away, and they almost picked up the kill on that one. But he managed to get himself out of there. Pike, not as lucky, and he will fall down. Equals up the kill lead, the gold, more or less exactly even as well.
Let's take a look at the items that people are starting to pick up now. Bilgewater Cutlass is complete for Lucian. He's quite a few CS down, actually. Of course, this wave is going to crash in. He'll be able to absorb that and he'll get a little bit closer. But Cutlass versus BF Sword, honestly, the longer they're in lane, the better the Cutlass does. So if I'm Lucian, I'm looking to not really go for the extended trades here. Maybe just a couple Q pokes, maybe just the occasional auto, but or just go balls out as he goes for the culling. He's able to walk away from this. That's
V-Man.
Wow.
Yeah, he kept himself alive as the Kindred tried to dive, but it cost him both of his summoner spells, and it looks like they're just going straight for the punish. The culling knocks him down to only about 30% health, and he's left to... He actually has to recall, so he loses a whole lot of lane pressure for that. This 10 minion deficit that Rego has found himself in could quickly just be nullified, as they're going to have the push on the tower, but... Gotta look out, the Pike and the jungler teaming up, maybe looking for an attempt on Cameron, who has very little mana.
He's stepping so far forwards, the shockwave does come out, the sleep is there. Stun does get evaded, flash is going to be used, gets the knock up under the tower, he has the red buff auto attacks, uses the cataclysm onto her when she hops away with the teleport, maybe a bit too greedy from the Jarvan, but they will capitalize on the overextension from the Zoe. They do pick up the kill just about.
Yeah, it could have definitely been a little cleaner if Danny had just held on to his ultimate for literally about half a second longer, waited for Zoe to hop back. She'd already flashed away, and you could just lock her in place. He has to expend his own flash to get himself out from under the tower safely, which could supposedly have been avoided if he'd have just been a teensy bit more patient, but still, a nice roam up from Benjamin in combination with Danny, and they find themselves the pick in the mid lane on Zoe, and that's going to help Dabver out a whole chunk, as he was already starting to get the lead in the mid lane by himself.
Interesting interaction there, but Kindred finally able to get a mark for herself in the enemy jungle. I think one of the interesting things about the dive is the fact that like Zoe has to come back when she ults. And you should know that, so you know, just wait a little bit. It's fine. It's not an issue.
Yeah,
but that flash
slight misplay.
The flash being burnt, the amount of damage that Jarvan took forced him to recall, which gave an opportunity for Kindred to go into the jungle, as well as the support not being in the bot lane either. So that was just good capitalization.
Yeah, Luffy really hasn't been taken out for granted, but Edma suffering.
Go in onto him, good flash away from him. The Gnar does slam him into the wall, but it's going to have to be used defensively now to back away, because great flash from Aiden does allow him to survive that trade, but it does mean he is now flashless. So
Gnar had to drop the ultimate to disengage that fight just to keep himself extra secure in that one, after Aiden with the nice fancy feet flash away from the wallop, but it's going to go straight back into the little 1v1. But again, Luffy has been keeping on top of his marks fairly well. It's only just over 10 minutes into the game. Feels like longer with the pauses, but he already has 4 marks already, which is a great pace for Kindred to have, but another engage.
Benny looking to go in. There was the charm from the Rakan diving in from Aiden. He knows the ultimate isn't there. He knows the Mega Gnar's not there either. But Luffy is there on the rotation just in time. I'm not sure if he got a mark off of it, but either way, they get the kill.
He didn't. He still has Jarvan marked. But still a really nice turnaround on that attempt. But
his positioning is getting really risky in the lane, and there we go. It gets punished.
Shockwave again. Dabba, it's just a targeted ability for this guy. Every single one that he's cast so far. Danny Hood, is this too much to deal with? Oh, Kindred keeps him alive.
She's using her ultimate. She's going to hop away from that one. Ed decides, I'm going to have to go for this kill. And he's not able to get it. And Jace's teleport comes through in time. Accelerated Shock Blast does pick them off. Failed dive attempt. Poor execution.
Yeah, the Danny Hood, it looked like he was in a spot of bother, but he drops the Cataclysm. Oh, nice dodge on the stun. But he drops the Cataclysm, and then the Lamb's Respite comes out. Oh no, Rakan. Okay, Rakan might get himself out alive. Good double Snare from V-Man.
Oh my
it's not
word!
over.
The flash forwards from Benny. He saw the damage in his eyes. He had the ignite, he had the ultimate, he had enough damage for the execute, but the reactions were so quick.
Oh,
the
V-Man's
W
dead.
forwards with the ignite almost secured the kill for V-Man, but either way, Rigo flashes forwards himself, gets the last auto attack, picks up the kill again. This bot lane has been phenomenal thus far from Lancaster. They are playing so well.
As Benny flashed forwards to try and find the execute with the ult, our lag just flashed away from it and then just walked forward and ignited V-Man. And he had to burn the flash, because if he didn't, he was going to die. And he walks a little bit too far forwards, doesn't have the defensive summoners available to him, and just gets picked off in lane for really just for free. Benny doesn't have enough mana to do anything about it. He can't stop it and he can't trade it back. Has no ultimate available. So another nice pickup. This time it actually goes to the carry of Lucian, so he picks himself up a kill. Still a little bit of gold down globally thanks to the double kill that came out from Aiden following the teleport, and they're going for a third.
Is Ed going to be able to escape this one? He did have the Gnar to shove them away
Cancelled the
from him.
bone skewer.
Slow comes down as well. He does have the blast going to try and make the escape. Oriana's coming through the rotation as well. There is almost a flash available, but he's going to run into the Oriana. They have the damage, and they have the kill.
The kill nicely handed over directly into the hands of Dab for his third of the game. Very nicely collapsed. I thought that might have been what happened to Luffy last time, but he got sniped out by the shock blast either way. But Dabva just cutting off the escape route, no way for Ed to get out. Even though it was a nice use of the Gnar to cancel out with a bone skewer, just too much ground to cover, wasn't able to get back into the safety of his own jungle. He will be picked off once again, his second death of the game, and 3 kills now for Dabba, and he's lost his turret because of that.
You know when you're like watching pros play, usually Koreans, and you're like, they're 20 minutes in, they only have X items, but they just do so much damage. Why don't I do that much damage? Well, I mean, Dabba's certainly doing that with the Oriana, and now looking for the engage in the bot lane. Huge amounts of damage coming out onto Birmingham. Super low, about 200 HP each, but they are safely under the tower. They also have 2 people roaming down to the bot lane. Meanwhile, in the top lane, looking to see if they can get the Jason. Shutdown does come through, but it is the 2v4 situation.
He
Cataclysm
dodged
comes out
Shockwave.
onto him. The execute gets dodged as well. They're gonna be able to pick up these kills, but it was really well played yet again, and they don't give Pyke the executes, which he desperately wants.
That got way, way closer than it needed to be, as Dabva, very low health on the end of that, as the shockwave very nicely dodged out. It wasn't even flashed, it was just the dash from Lucian to get himself out of that. Forced the stopwatch usage from Oriana, which ideally you don't want to have to do that when you're in a 4v2 situation, but either way, they will pick up the 2 kills and the tower as well. Again, we've seen teams make these really good macro decisions. They know what the play is that they want to make, and they make it happen, but execution could definitely be a little bit cleaner just to make these plays a little more impactful without having to commit too much of your own utility. And the defensive summoner spells especially are things that are being blown out left, right, and center, but Mountain Drake will be the trade-off for Birmingham as they lose their top lane tower off the back of that play.
It's, you know, it's decent. It's definitely in favor of Birmingham, but it's not over. You know, at least Lugs are making something of these fights and of these occurrences around the map. They're going to be able to get that top turret, follow it up with the Herald. Hopefully they can use that properly in either the mid lane or the side lane, preferably the mid lane, especially if there's going to be a split pushing Jace, because that's the lane that you want to be in to be able to rotate to those quick enough. But if they can get excellent usage of that Herald, then it might be able to turn around the less favourable trade that sort of just happened. And now pressure in the mid lane.
Looks like it's not going to be used anytime soon, as their own mid lane turret is going to be pressured and quickly destroyed.
That
V-Man
shouldn't have
picks himself
happened.
up the kill for that one. There's just no one to defend. They just allowed Birmingham to group up as a 4-man strong team, and we touched on it before, even without the Jace. We touched on this in Champion Select. The Jarvan Oriana combo, just by itself is just terrifying to go up against. Wrap that up with the execute from Pyke and all the damage that's going to be coming through from Zaya with a Stormrazor. I don't think anyone really can defend that. Maybe Kindred, who would have to burn the ultimate if he got dived, but he would die soon after, so really just not worth expending your lives, throwing yourselves away to defend that tower. But it's still a huge pickup for the Birmingham side. Opens up the map so much more, especially for Benjamin, who's looking for roams.
Why was Lucian bot? That's why it was open for them. That's why they were able to go for it. So forcing the flash, that's really unfortunate. But,
Takes half his health as a chunk on the backside though.
The Lucian was bot. He wasn't getting the tower. He was just getting minions, you know? You don't need to be doing that. They gave up a tower essentially for free. Cameron in a really poor spot here. There's an inevitable death for him, I'm sure. And it does come out. Danny Hood's able to get that. The charm from Rakan is able to store them up for a little bit. Teleport gets fully channeled by the Jace.
Yeah, now they're gonna use that pick on the mid laner and the fact that they just have the positioning to just brute force down at least 2 towers. Kindred drops the Rift Herald in top to try and answer it, but it's making its way a very long way around, and by the time that gets anywhere close to a tower, it will be answered. Yeah. So again, just another free tower picked up in the mid lane, but Luffy
looking to, oh my, the amount of damage that he's dropping down with the Zyra is insane, forcing the heal out of her. The Bone Spear does come through, forces him into an awful situation where he has to use the ultimate to try and save himself. I'm pretty sure the
Pyke just mistimed the ult. Yeah. It was so close, milliseconds away from picking up the execute, but it was Danny Hood that finished off the kill with the auto attack just after, but it's not over.
They're going in, the shockwave does land onto 2. Rigo was alive for a decent amount of time there, but Danny Hood is right next to him. He has the auto attack, so he's going to pick up that kill. Punished for overextending, punished for pushing too far forwards, and now they're going to be able to walk away from this one. Those carries are on such low health. 4-11 now for the kills. The gold starting to seriously swing for Birmingham, especially as it's reaching at this 20-minute mark, so Baron could start to be considered. And no, we don't read Twitch chat. No, we don't.
No, of course we don't. Again, Orianna survives a fight on very low health, not thanks to the stopwatch this time, but has to flash and barrier to keep herself alive on that fight. But Danny Hood might not be so lucky. Okay.
Flashing forwards for this one. Is he going to be able to get the kill? Turning it around. Gets the 600 gold shutdown. He won't be able to escape from it though, as Benny does show up and gets the execute in time now in the bot lane. Aiden Nu is on his own in the 1v2 situation. He flashes away after the thundering blow. It looks like that's going to be enough to escape from this one. Cameron yet again is too far forwards. His positioning has not been good this game. He's way too far forwards all the time. You need to respect the zones of threat from the enemy. Especially when there's a potential Pyke that could be invisible. That's not even really what's been picking him off, but man, unfortunate.
Yeah, we touched on it last game about Aiden playing disrespectfully but doing it with grace. This time, Ed My Suffering just straight up flashes and the borderline ints, but he gets the shutdown gold, so you could argue it's worth it, but
it was 600 Gs, man. That's
again, but with the kill picked up on the back as Cameron stuck around a little too long and got chased down by V-Man, it kind of evens out the scales, and really I don't think it's worth it to commit that hard for a play like that. You're going to force Danny to back anyway. You've chunked him down low enough. He can't stick around to defend the tower. Just take the free objective, even up the towers a little bit, get some global gold for your team rather than getting an extra, minion wave or two's worth of gold for yourself that really doesn't do all that much to close the gap between you and your lane counterpart, as Nah still about 1,500 gold down on the Jace, and Aidenum's getting back to that point where he can start pushing sideways by himself and just dominate the split push game.
Cameron, as we see, getting this blue buff for himself and struggling to do so. We said he is the substitute mid laner, and his 0-4-0 scoreline certainly represents it. It's been a really poor performance from him this game. Of course, you know, he's not in a comfortable position, that's to be expected, but you'd hope that this doesn't continue. If Lugs want a chance to play this, they need to have a Zoe alive in these fights to at least land some sleepy bubbles. Not just to save herself, to land a couple paddle stars to chunk down Aiden or something like that, but this just dies.
The perfect opportunity for it as they're playing around the Infernal Drake, but it might not
Cataclysm. Looking to try and get the kills. The execute comes down onto the Zombie. The shockwave onto 3. Followed through with the execute, but the Kindred ultimate is there to counter that one. Splash over the wall from Luffy is able to save himself, but Lucian was locked in by the Jarvan, not going to be able to make an escape for himself. Edmai suffering now, getting the CC combo off onto Danny Hood. Luffy's able to turn that one around and gets the Hunter's Mark for herself. Stun does come down as well onto Benny, and there wasn't enough damage to get Luffy, and now Aiden is behind them. Ed is now looking for the 1v1. Luffy firing over the wall is able to dodge the shock blast, and now he's in the brush seeing what he can do. Auto attacks are coming out. Are they going to be able to do it? Yes! Lancaster finally have a good fight for themselves.
Oh man, that fight looked so bad for Lancaster as Dabva once again hits a monster shockwave on 3 of the Lancaster team and just cleans up the fight, but they overchase and 3 of them end up dying. They do manage to pick up the Drake on the back of that fight again, but was it worth committing to 3 lives and giving the shutdown gold to the opponent's Pike? Got a little bit hypey after he actually found the first execute of the game and pushed a little bit too far and was punished for it. Zoe though still 0-5. That is not what you want to see coming out from your mid laner.
That Kindred ult in that fight was amazing. It doesn't matter if they died, it prevented 2 executes. It essentially prevented, what, 4 kills maybe? If you consider how the gold works.
Yeah, and you consider the fact that if he'd got the reset, then Lovey would have died definitely as he was getting chased down. He was sitting on 1 tick of Ignite away from death, but he got the heal from the Triumph rune, kept himself alive long enough to bait Aiden to overcommitting as well. Just game of inches so far, but not specifically in team fights, just specifically after them, where teams get a little bit over aggressive and start trying to push their advantage a little bit too hard. Get punished for it, but looks like we're playing into a little bit of a more passive Baron dance going on at the moment.
So I was taking a look at the item spikes, trying to see where the AD carries are at, and V-Man of course is now at the big spike of 2 items where that 1 auto attack is going to do quite a lot of damage. Obviously the Infinity Edge as the 3rd item is pretty crucial, but this is a decent spike for her. And then I looked at 1 champion above her to find that Orianna is an entire item up. That's insane. But now Ed is looking for the 1v1. He does get the CC lockups onto Aiden. Super low, gets another W onto him, slams the Q into his face. The 1v1 outplay from Edmai suffering. He completely destroys him, and now the dive in from the Rakan wasn't enough to stall. Benny Thick Dick is trying to escape, but he wasn't able to. The culling comes out, shut down now by the Orianna. She's probably where she doesn't want to be, though, because the Baron fight is what's going on right now. She's the most fed member of her team, and if they look to go for this...
She does have a minion wave, though, so even just the pressure of Orianna hitting the tower, not the Nash's Tooth build, but it forces them to recall nonetheless, but
flashing
they're going to get interrupted.
From Rigo, looking to get V-Man, and he does do it. Shutdown gold across the board now. Luffy trying to jump forwards. The flag and drag is available for the Jarvan to try and escape this. Still
Orianna
like
gets the inhibitor turret for free.
Oh no. A free turret in the bot lane, and I don't think Rakan's going to be able to defend against her either. So until these guys in the mid lane start channeling their recalls, she's just going to get this inhib.
No, they're just going to trade it for a mid-outer turret. In what world is that worth it as lag even gets chunked down? Edmai suffering shows up, but she just gets...
Oh no, trying to run away from this one. The dissonance speeds herself up and slows Ed both times. He can't chase her. He hops forwards, tries to look and see if he can get the Q. Oh, look at Luffy on the map.
They've committed so much for it, though. This is a free Baron.
This is a free Baron. They're going to be able to rush this. I'm not even sure Luffy will be able to kill him right here if there's enough damage out of mana now. The heal is going to be enough, so this kill is definitely going over to Lancaster. But look at that, the stopwatch just to stall. No, that's a Zonya's. But either way, just to stall even more time, this Baron's free.
Again, we say it, over-aggression. Dabva made the right call to stick around. Even committing the shockwave to kill the Rakan potentially might not have been worth it, as maybe he could have used it in the end fight. But I'd honestly say securing that kill and forcing 3 members of the Lancaster team to chase him as far as they did Picks up the free Baron, definitely worth it, no question whatsoever about that after the fact, but they're going to be using that Baron to push into the top lane and Shock Blast.
There he gets the kill. Now Luffy gets engaged on as well by the hook. He's not going to be able to cast his ultimate because it's not even available yet. Ed teleports in. He does use the ultimate, so they're getting some trade kills around, but this is still going so sour for Lancaster. Danny Hood goes for the dive. Does get slept. Adenuma is now going to take a pedal star to the face. Finally, Cameron getting the first kill of the game for himself. But that was 4 deaths for Lancaster after taking the tower. It could have gone worse, let's be honest, but it's still not great.
It could have gone worse. If Cameron had died, it would have, but they got a little bit lucky, I think, as some of the health bars once again very low on the side of Birmingham, but they managed to keep themselves alive. I think the Gnar ultimate from Ed could have been a little better than what it was as he teleported in. He was already transformed when he started the teleport channel, so might have been just rushing to get an ultimate out while the duration is still available, but didn't find a single stun with the ult, despite the fact that he had 4 players relatively close to a wall. It's quite an enclosed space, but sort of ulted them back towards his own tower rather than to the side into the wall, which could have potentially swung the fight a little bit in their favor, but I think by that point most of the team was already dead.
Now they're looking to get this dragon. It's another mountain. It's not really crucial at this point in the game, considering how far ahead they are. Looking at the gold difference, about 8k. We see how much of that is on the Orianna. It's about 4k, so half of the team's lead is on that one champion. But Dabva has been playing so well in both of these games.
It honestly has just been a disgustingly good Orianna showcase. Just incredible shockwaves in pretty much every single fight, making huge use out of the utility available to her, and they pick up the second Mountain Drake of the game, and that's just going to make this siege even easier for them, as that top lane tower, prepped with just over 1,000 health, will be slowly regenerating, so someone will need to push in the minion wave top before they can really pressure that, or they could just work with the minion wave they have in the bottom side that's already built up and try and push the open inhibitor. Oh, it looks like they're going to leave that to just passively build up pressure as they push with the Baron buff into the mid lane and force the response and try and force a 4v5 team fight. Gnar's hovering around on the side though.
Looking for the engage. Mega Gnar is coming up very shortly, so they just need to be respectful of it, wait for it to time out, and then I do want to see them go to the bot lane. Look at the
Cameron's been chunked, look at his health!
Oh wow. Was that
empowered shock blast? I think 2 empowered shock blasts or maybe a QW from Orianna.
Insane.
And he's out of the fight.
At least he's close to base, so we can heal up decently quickly, but not quick enough for the amount of damage that that tower takes. Now the hook comes out onto the
Danny's too far.
Looking for
Surely.
it, gets the Cataclysm onto 2. He's going to be using the stopwatch to stall during the fight. Cameron's already out of it. The execute came through. Edmund Suffering doesn't have the Mega Gnar, so he's trying to make his way into the fight, but he's not able to. Shockwave really doesn't matter. And with 4 people still alive, they're going to get the inhib and hopefully go for the bot inhib as well.
Yeah, the Shockwave finished off the kill on Luffy before he could get the Lamb's Respite out. That would have saved both him and potentially a couple of his other teammates who were sitting around on low health. Pike was killed before he could really utilize the reset on the execute from the ultimate, but he managed to get 1 kill with it. And not ideal to get a 2-for-1, but it will be enough to make Birmingham think twice about pushing a little too hard. They've had some bad experiences with over-aggression following team fights, so they're going to make the safe play. Recall Danny goes top to deal with that huge minion wave that was building up. It looks like they're grouping up to make advantage of the inhibitor that has been taken and push into the side lanes to try and just put more pressure on the Lancaster team.
So Lucian's picked up an Essence Reaver for himself, and I'm not a fan of that. I think it's definitely a powerful item when you're ahead, when you can afford to just ult at the start of the fight, cancel it, then go for the pop-off. But when you're being engaged on, you don't really get that option. You have to dash away, you have to get in the auto attacks where possible to lifesteal up. It would have been more valuable for him to build a QSS and then transform that into a Mercurial, because he needs the lifesteal, he needs the MR, he needs anything he can to stay alive. He doesn't need an Essence Reaver.
Luffy.
Now Luffy, in a really
That
awkward
keeps him
situation,
alive.
pops the ultimate. Gives him a little bit of health and he will be able to get away from this one, but now the ultimate is not on the cards for them for the next team fight if Birmingham are able to force one.
And he had
shortly.
to flash away to get out of that situation as well. And Baron respawning in just a minute actually just barely gets the recoil off before the Demacian standard lands on his head. But as soon as Birmingham have the opportunity in 1 minute's time, there is no vision whatsoever for Lancaster really anywhere on the top side of the map. So they have free reign over Baron. They're going to utilize that as they push on the top lane.
Rejo dashing forwards that actually forced the Feather Storm from V-Man. He's really concerned about the engage. So that's a key cooldown out of the next fight. I still don't get why they're top lane right now. There's an open inhib bot. You don't need to struggle sieging it. There's no tower. Like, I get it's closest to Baron, but you could just walk bot, get the inhib with no trouble, then walk top, and then go for Baron if you get the time for it. I don't know. It just feels a little silly to me. I would hope that they would go for it, or they can look for the engage here as the hook does land onto Luffy. Remember, he doesn't have the ult. Nope, the ultimate's already come back. But the overextension from Danny Hood, he doesn't have the support of his team. They're going to get the first kill off onto him. V-Man looking to back away from this one. The stopwatch is not enough. Another kill for Luffy. This shockwave is huge. Once again from Dabba. He's going to be able to get 2 kills off of that. What looked like a bad fight. Edmai suffering, trying to get over the wall. But the hook comes back over. The execute comes across as well. Lucian is able to get the trade kill. But now the only one left standing for Lancaster is Rakan. He's not going to be able to defend this Nexus. And Birmingham go 2-0 on the day.
When is Dabba gonna stop with these shockwaves? I swear. 10-1 and 10. Another incredible performance from him on the Orianna in the middle lane, and it's enough to finish out the game. It's 35 minutes in, 10,000 gold lead, and another commanding victory for the Degenerates of Birmingham.
Wow, that was a good one. That was a good one. Again, points to note. Unfortunate about the mid lane situation. Really well played, I think, mostly from the bot lane for Lancaster. But at the end of the day, Birmingham were the better team. And with that said, we're going to cut to another 15-minute break. And then when we come back for the third and final game of the night, this will be the very last game of the Swiss. And this will be whoever is currently in first place. So, see ya in a bit.
Just in the street forever.
I'm falling. Tell me why I'm falling. Oh, life's calling, but it's hard because I'm falling. I'm falling. Tell me why I'm falling. Oh, life's calling, but it's hard because I'm falling. Started to fall, and where were you? How could I know you were falling too? Grabbing the wind, cutting my skin, but it's hard because I'm falling. Tell me why I'm falling. Oh, life's calling, but it's hard because I'm falling. Harder.
And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. I promise I did not do this on purpose, but we're watching Birmingham again versus Waluigi. This is the first and second place team now at the end of Swiss, the final game before we go into the quarterfinals. Once again, I'm Ollie. I'm joined by Saga today for this final game, and hopefully it's going to be a fun one. How are you doing?
It really is just a feature-length like Disney movie about the underdogs who are in a measly 4th or 5th place, who just rise up above the competition and smash their way through to the top 2 up against Waluigi from Loughborough University, who have looked incredibly dominant in all of their games. So this really is the final challenge for the degenerates from Birmingham, team name by the way, not just Flame. So we'll see if they're able to find that form that they've been able to find in the past 2 games that we've watched. See if they're able to make the same picks work, whether Loughborough have been watching the stream and know what to ban. We'll find out soon as we're getting into the champion select.
And pick and ban has begun. Loughborough, when we played against them the first time, it was much easier because we banned the Rakan. No, we banned the Pike and stole the Rakan from them. That felt very effective because Nakes, he's a very good player on those engaged supports, and then he defaulted to a Bard, which was, significantly worse. But then they also had the Heimerdinger on the table, so that sort of neutralized the fact that this playmaker for Waluigi was no longer on the table. So I think that is something certainly to consider. We've seen Birmingham already play the Pike, so maybe a Rakan ban, maybe steal the Pike if possible. Wouldn't be shocked if it's a first pick for Loughborough though. But I think the supports are a very important thing in this matchup.
Yeah, I spent a little bit of time in the pre-game lobby just trying to figure out exactly how to pronounce that name, and he confirms that you pronounce it as Nikes, which makes sense because he plays a very nice Pike, as displayed last week, where he had the scoreline of something like 10-0-11. So it would make a lot of sense for that to be taken away, but it looks like they're going to go for the Aatrox as the first pick. We've seen it picked apart already once by Aiden. Let's see if he's able to recreate that, see whether he goes for the same pick of Fiora, which seemed to have Aatrox's number throughout the game.
Certainly, but Death by Lollipops is a whole other caliber of player compared to Benbow. He is, I think, been the strongest, I would say, player so far that I've faced against in the tournament up until these weeks. He is insane. It feels like he plays every champion under the sun, and now he's on probably one of the highest priority top laners there are. I'm expecting him to pop off. There we do see the Pike getting stolen away, so Rakan is still on the table. I imagine that's what Loughborough will go with. But Zach, the comfort pick for Danny Hood, is picked up by them as well. Gecko, his Graves is his standard pick, so that's just standard. Yep, standard. Yep. And now, like I say, I want to see a Rakan here, but problem is it's now reached 3rd pick, so I'm not sure that will happen. At this point, maybe you look for a powerful mid laner like Swain, since he is open.
Yeah, Swain's had a couple of games today, a couple of good ones too. We've seen Lucian having up and downs today, but on a player of the caliber of Waluigi, the AD carry for Waluigi, definitely no confusion whatsoever. But yeah, he's definitely going to be able to find some impact on that pick. Doesn't have the support locked in at the moment, but we do see Fiora utilized once again as the counter pick towards Aatrox. We'll see if Aiden is able to recreate the success that he had in his earlier game, and see what the bans will be to see if they can stem some of the bleeding. The Vel'Koz could potentially be unexpected, as he just said himself.
I think you still need to ban Rakan. I think giving that over might be a little bit silly. But maybe Birmingham are like, you know what? No, we can take it. We're prepared for it. We're going to be the better bot lane. Even though Pike has now been kind of counterpicked by the Lucian since he's able to dodge so well with his dash. They do have the top lane already in their favor though. So now I think you prioritize being on red side. You prioritize the mid lane counter pick. Again, Swain's still on the table, but so is Orianna. And I'm expecting that. Oh, that's already got banned.
Oriana
Ignore
is
me.
not on the
Oh,
table.
oh, that's
Oh,
that's
well,
crucial actually.
I usually do. So we'll have to see if Dabva has anything else up his sleeve that he can play with the same proficiency as Oriana, as he's definitely been hard carrying some of these fights with just insane shockwaves that he's just consistently finding. It's nuts, but it's not going to happen this game whatsoever as that pick is taken away from him. So we'll see whether they do. Likely to have an AD carry picked up here. We'll see what the fallback is when V-Man's top 3 champions are taken away, and it will be the Ezreal.
It might even be his
Little
top
bit of
4
lane
champions.
priority. As Kaiser's taken away as well.
And Jin, Zaya, Lucian,
Draven,
Draven,
Lucian.
potentially Quinn.
Yeah,
That's bottom of the barrel.
He's gone pretty far down the tier list, but Ezreal, still no slouch whatsoever. You can definitely get some use out of that pick. Sure, get some mileage out of it, depending on just how well you can land the skill shots. Ari, though, going to be a slippery one, has a few skill shots of her own. Potentially could see some aggression coming out towards the early mid game or towards the end of the laning phase as Ari gets going to be taking Ignite and has the 3 dashes available, so definitely has some room for outplays and mobility. Can easily set up some ganks on Gecko if she can land the charms.
Zac is going to have a really hard time engaging. There is a dash on every single person on Loughborough's team. When they see the elastic slingshot coming in, they might be able to just avoid it using their dash. Obviously, it's a bit more costly for the Ahri to use her ultimate, but either way, Zac's going to have a pretty hard time here. Looking at both these team comps, though, as they round it out with the Lux in the mid lane, which I'm not too happy with myself. I don't really like that pick, especially into an Ahri, but we'll get onto that later.
You just touched on the mobility that Ari gets as soon as she gets level 6, and taking an incredibly skill shot intensive champ's 4 skill shots in her kit. It's going to be potentially difficult to lock down so simple on Ari, who could very easily make the aggressive plays. Dabva going for his signature of the barrier, though, potentially trying to stem a little bit of that aggression, but with a jungler like Graves who can deal a buttload of burst damage early on in the game, it's going to be difficult, and she's going to need likely a little more support than just the barrier to keep herself alive for an extended period of time.
These two teams are really squishy. Like, other than Zac building pretty tanky, everyone else, they're going to be decently killable. Of course, Aatrox does have his revive, and of course, Pyke is going to get decent resistances, but like the health bars on these teams, they're going to be pretty low. So the pick from Lux, or the charm from Ahri, or the flash engage from Rakan, it will probably guarantee kill every time. You only need to have like one person to follow up with damage. You'll probably be able to secure them. So I think this is going to be a very bloody game. We're going to see constant engages from both teams, constantly looking for the fights, constantly looking for the picks. And hopefully this will be a really exciting final game.
I think your assessment that this game's going to be bloody is somewhat echoed by the fact that Loughborough have taken 3 ignites. So that's 1 in every lane. So they're definitely going to be laying down some aggression. The one thing that does stand out in my mind as potentially favored for Birmingham is Aidanum has played the matchup into Aatrox, and he seemed to have a decent grasp of how to work his way around the long sort of animations of Aatrox, so you can quite easily time the riposte to get the stuns and escape most of his aggression, I suppose, in the top lane, particularly early on. But couple it up with good pathing from Gecko, it's going to be way, way tougher. So there's only time will tell whether Aiden is able to recreate the success that he found in the first game. And Benny on the Pyke, again, looks really isn't the ideal champion to set up roaming plays from the support and the jungler as a pair. So Zac can maybe find an engage, but again, it's Ahri. She has so much mobility. She can get out of those engages. As Zac, you have a decent window to react to the elastic slingshot coming from off your screen. So it is going to be difficult to get the early game advantage, but it seems as though team fights is where the Birmingham University really shines. We're going to have to see if they can recreate that success that they've had in the previous games against the top-rated team in the league of Loughborough.
Is the pop-off potential on Lux the same as Oriana? That is what I'm asking myself right now. Dabva played such a crucial role in the 2 previous games, landing the multi-man shockwaves. As Lux, you can maybe land bindings, but if those are going wide, and they're harder to land than shockwaves, I think, is he going to really have the same sort of impact that we've sort of gotten used to throughout this night? Are we going to see him maybe even lose lane versus this Ahri? I have a lot of questions.
The thing that worries me most about this Lux pick, and to an extent the Ezreal pick, because he is another champion that's very reliant on his skill shot landing capabilities, is every single champion for Loughborough has a dash built into their kit outside of the Flash Summoner spell. So they're going to be very, very slippery and are going to be able to avoid some of these skill shots. Granted, they have good reaction times. So it's going to be difficult, but I believe in Dabva. He's done really well in the past couple of games, and I'm sure he'll be able to find a couple of good team fights for his team where he's able to find picks and potentially even win the fights and hard enough for them to gain advantages and push the way through to finishing out the game.
Yeah, this is certainly a hype one. Looking at both of these teams, having watched them both destroy my team, I don't really care who wins it. I just want to see a bloody match. I want to see both teams really beating on each other, trying to figure out who truly is the best team. Waluigi is expected to win this. Again, they've only lost 1 game so far as I'm aware, this entire tournament. That's impressive. Degenerates, they made an excellent run tonight, but I wouldn't say the teams they've played have been top tier. They haven't been Monkey Cage.
They played against Kiel.
Exactly.
So, I mean,
They haven't been Monkey Cage. They haven't been Warwick. And now we're seeing them versus Waluigi. So this is the real test of skill. This is the real test for them. And at the end of this, we're gonna be heading into a very interesting playoffs. That's for sure.
Yeah, they really couldn't have drafted themselves into a more challenging situation here. A whole lot of early game aggression likely to come out from Loughborough with the Ahri, the Graves in the jungle. Rakan and Lucian gonna be a super aggressive bottom lane with a lot of engaged capabilities.
30 seconds.
Mine, it's weird because I have the in-game UI, but it's just showing me the loading screen. So I'm likely gonna have to
exit out
reconnect to this one. So.
No,
I mean, take it away. Ollie shouts, 1-man cast, go.
Well, I need to adjust some stuff. Also, we'll need to reset.
I'll let you know when I'm in the game and post. Apologies for this, but it happens sometimes with
League's client,
League
really
of
good.
Legends. Hey, at least we have a spectator client.
Yeah, true. At least there's an auto director unlike Overwatch. Complete side note: has anyone in the audience tried to spectate Overwatch and then not hated themselves afterwards? It's awful.
Okay, I'm paused at 118.
118. Can you
Yeah,
go?
that's
go
where I
than that,
got into
or-
the game. No, the
Okay.
earliest I can go is 116.
I'll take it to 118 myself, and then
Let it buffer a little.
all right, 3, 2, 1, and begin.
Okay, so the first thing that stands out to me, Aiden tried to say hi mom in chat, but spelt it hi omum, and got called out. So I like that. Good try, Aiden. Hopefully you get the button presses in order.
You know what? I respect that though from the players. I told them if they don't say hi mum at the start of the game, they're reported, and they did it. So they're not reported. Well, okay, everyone that didn't say it, so the majority of them are reported. But either way,
I mean, he gave it an attempt.
exactly.
So it looks like we're going to see mirror jungle starts once again. Both starting on the bottom side. Graves a little bit quicker towards the top side rotation. Likely going to be looking to press the advantage. Get the 2v1 in the top side as quickly as possible and shut down that Fiora, who we saw have a lot of impact in the same matchup in game 1 of the day.
So again, we see Aatrox. He's doing decent at this level 1 point. When it hits around level 3, that's where we're going to start. So, oh my word, the flash stun from Benny Thick Dick doesn't land the bone skewer though. Pardon my language. That was super poggers from him.
Yeah, I mean, Big Benny, man, he doesn't hesitate. It's what we said, with the level 2 aggression potential from Lufra is so high that taking away a lot of the defensive summoners from Lucian, he had to burn flash and heal based off that engage from Benny, who himself did commit the flash and the ignite, but that's going to take away a whole lot of safety from Lufra if they do decide to go for any aggressive engages with the Rakan, as he gets hit with another Bone Skewer. Chunked down a little bit, but nothing too major, as Dabver in mid chunked down for half his health off the back of a charm.
So Graves and Zac ran into each other, and of course this is what I'm saying about Zac. He's so weak. Graves just walks past him, goes straight to his Raptors, steals it, now walks to the golems, which Zac is still trying to kill, and bullies him off of that as well. This is what we should have seen in the first game when Zac was locked in. You can just destroy that pick with any of the current meta ones. It's so much stronger in this early part of the game. And finally, we do see some punish. There's no kill, but you know, there's some stealing of camps, and Graves will walk away advantaged at the end of that, forcing the back as well for Danny Hood, which leaves him getting a really unfortunate purchase. Doesn't complete any components for his jungle item, just has to work towards that ninja tabby.
Yeah, Gecko is going to get a much more favorable recall, has 900 gold to his name. He finishes off the jungle item and gets himself a control ward as well before he heads off to collect up the bottom side of his own jungle. So he's already got a big advantage in jungle camps, and he still hasn't even cleared his own jungle just from the early game pressure he's put onto Danny, making life very, very difficult for Danny, who has, over the course of the day, been finding a lot of impact in the early game through some nice ganks and pathing, but it's going to be hindered a whole lot now by that aggressive engage from
lane gang. He might be able to go for this. They know there's no flash on Waluigi, so if they do get the stun off onto him, which they don't wait for, they just force the engage, he dashes away, gets the stretch and strikes completely wide. Again, I think you have to allow time for the Pyke to try and get the catch off there.
Aiden's getting absolutely battered in this top lane, losing hard in the same matchup that he won earlier on in the day. But again, it's what he touched on before, is Danny went for the attempted lane gank, but even though there was no defensive summoners for Waluigi of Waluigi, he still has the dash available to him and just gets himself out of the way, no problem. Doesn't even have to worry too much about it. As we said before, Zac can engage from a long distance, but it gives you a long window to react to it, and Waluigi gets himself out alive. A lot of trading in the mid lane though, and it's starting to go a little bit in favor of Dabva.
Dabva, what he's doing is he's sticking around for these extending trades. That's really good from him. Amazing charm. Straight onto the flash. Just about saving his life there. That would have been an excellent kill for Dabva if he's able to get the auto attack off. But going back to this, Dabva keeps looking for the extended trades after all spells have been used. He looks for the auto attacks because he has his shields up from his W, so he gets damage, and the Ahri returning the auto attacks does nothing essentially. It's really smart. And as you can see, it is starting to win the lane for him. Unfortunately, not quite getting the kill thanks to a really good play from So Simple. But again, I questioned it. I'm like, how is the Lux meant to win this lane? He's doing it, but Ahri is now level 6, so that may change.
Benny is just getting beaten up in the bottom lane. He went a little bit too far forwards. Nice dodge on the grand entrance from Rakan, but he just got chunked down regardless, and he has to take the recall back. I think V-Man's likely looking to recall anyway to pick up the Tear of the Goddess and start stacking that up as soon as he possibly can. So not the worst back timing, but still not ideal to have to go back with only about 20% of your health because you just stepped a little bit too far forwards. But Gecko looking for the top lane.
They do get the pullback on the chains onto him. He has the level 6 if he really needs it, but he's forced to run into the tower. That will be the first blood coming out for Death by Lollipops. Excellent rotation, excellent gank from Gecko, punishing
So Simple.
once again the overextension. Now we see So Simple going in. He is the level down, doesn't quite have enough damage either, even if he tried to use Ignite there, because the shields for Lux are just too much right now.
And Lux still had barrier available, so was not really in too much trouble. Not too much of a threat of dying, but still gonna be feeling the pressure as So Simple returns the trade that he previously lost. But another nice binding though. And look at this item build from Death by Lollipops. It's
I was gonna say
almost the same cost, but it just counters the item that Aiden has bought. But Simple now getting binded up.
Using the ultimate, has the E, gets the kill for himself. A 1v1 outplay, just completely ruining any idea of what I thought the matchup was meant to be like. So Simple, he felt confident. He was like, yeah, this is mine. I've got Ignite, he's got Barrier, like, Ignite's just better. I'm Arya, I'm gonna assassinate you.
Oh, he finds the knockup this time.
Now Zach, looking to get into it, Let's Bounce does get flashed out. And there is no Bone Skewer either.
Yeah, has the flash available this time, does Waluigi of Waluigi, and keeps himself nice and safe after not being able to react in time. Get away from the elastic slingshot, but Gecko's looking to pressure around in the bottom lane. 3 versus 3, level 6 available.
But he's not going to be able to make
University. And he's not level 6, so that's not a favorable 3v3 that you want to fight. And I don't think it would be with Zac anyway, especially after he's just committed the ultimate. Did get the defensive summoner spell away from Lucian, but nothing more really picked up, so gonna just rightly disengage, keep themselves away from that 3v3 that in all likelihood they would never have won.
I think the interesting part about this top lane is how so different it is to what we previously saw. That max range. It's
juicy.
It's such a different, like, Fiora was pushing Aatrox into tower previously, and at one point in the game had like a 5k gold lead or something, way past Flame Horizon. Now this time around, she's sitting there with a Vamp Scepter, and he's got an Executioner's plus the Phage to counter it. Really
I think a lot of it comes down in the first couple of games. Danny was just stomping on kids, but Nikes
getting picked off
a little bit. He's
charm.
low.
He's getting super low though. Is able to get away from the execute. V-Man flashing forwards, looking for the Q. Doesn't manage to get the kill. Using the heal to try and run away with the move speed. They have enough to follow up. That stopwatch doesn't really look like it's going to save you, man. And V-Man does fall.
Yeah, Benny just not been able to find the executes throughout most of these games. He found a few towards the end of the previous one, but Rakan dodged out of it with a nice little flash combo forwards to land the charm. Gecko's still hovering around in the bottom lane and had the red buff. So even with all of the mobility that Ezreal has, with the flash, with the heal, the arcane shift, it's not enough, and he gets taken down under his own tower. And they will be capitalizing. It's only the Cloud Drake, so maybe not the end of the world, but Gecko has been making moves all across the map, and that's going to help him out a little bit to find these opportunities across the map. But Aiden's getting engaged on.
He's looking to go in on him, but the counterplay is there from Danny Hood. He does have the full health bar now from the World Ender. Hoping that they'll let it time out, but he's able to turn it around with the passive auto attack onto Fiora, doing so much damage. Now Benny roaming up to the top lane, misses the Bone Skewer, gets pulled back in. Death by Lollipops dodges the elastic slingshot, the outplay. This is why I said he's the best player by far in the NUEL. That was amazing from him. And now Ari's showing up as well. Danny Hood is not going to be able to escape this as he's turned into a couple of cells. And Benny can't do anything but recall and watch as his team got destroyed 1v3. Wow.
Man, that was... It looked like it was going so well for Aiden and Danny Hood as Death by Lollipops just walked up and started going aggressive on Aiden. Danny was there to counter it, but Aiden wasn't able to proc all 4 of the vitals that he needed for the Grand Challenge, and another execute's gonna miss.
From Benny. I don't think it did it miss?
Just did like I feel like it. The V of the execute, he was just in the middle of it. Didn't quite land, but nevertheless the kill will be picked up. I think it was Benny that took the kill for that anyway, as Dabba already has the solo kill in mid. So again, maybe not the ideal placement for the target on the kills, but I suppose it's not the worst.
Looking to be engaged in the bot lane. Elastic Slingshot is going to go wide. Waluigi does get tapped up. Why? Stretching strikes charm down onto 2 of them, and now they're looking to back away as the Cunning does decent damage. And the attempted gang by Danny Hood ends up leaving them worse for wear. And now Nikes sat on a ward. Pyke is going to show up into this lane. Bone Skewer is going to connect because he's able to hop away from that one with the grand entrance. Saga, are you there? Don't think so.
Yes.
Oh, there we go.
I am here.
Is your internet doing a bad?
We'll call it that. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Rift Herald. That is the objective to look for right now if you're Waluigi, especially with Gecko so far ahead with the top side pressure. You just look for an opportunity for the Ahri to just shove out mid lane, maybe give her some assistance on that, and then just move over to it, especially after you saw Danny Hood. I mean, currently I believe he's on a ward, so they know he's super low on health.
Oh, Gecko's just going to walk up.
Oh no, and he has the kill! The collateral damage was enough. He knew that the cell division had already been used in the top lane. And there you go, jungle difference, lads.
Yeah, I don't want to say better jungler wins, but it seems like the better jungler might be winning this game. Just nothing to do with the players, just Graves a little bit more, as you mentioned, the meta pick, and nothing really Zac can do. He can't stand up and duel against these champions. He's struggling to clear his own camps. He just doesn't have the damage that someone like Graves has, and the pushback on Graves' auto attacks, he can kite the camps as well and keep himself at nice full health, whereas Danny just has to stand there and slap him, so he gets taken incredibly low. As he was getting low health on that blue buff, he gets caught out, and looks like he's going to get caught out again.
That's why Lollipop's doing the correct thing. Knew Zac was obviously going to go to the top side, forcing him to slingshot away from that one. And now, because they have the mid pressure, they might potentially look to go for this red buff, or just back away from this, but now we might even see a dive in the bot lane. Culling is coming out. Gecko is behind the Ezreal. He's going to go forward. Heal is used. Teleport does get completely channeled, and Gecko overextending here. The execute, I believe, did come across for the Pyke. He
damage,
had the cross.
but didn't pick up the kill, but Pyke gets the gold anyway.
Yeah, like, provided they're in the cross when they die, doesn't matter if he gets the kill or not, which they made excellent use of there, and now they're looking at the 2v3. The execute isn't enough. V-Man looking to back away from this one as the ignite is enough damage. The 2v3 outplay. What?
Oh
They're
man,
so good. They're so
that
good.
hurts to watch. He didn't even flash forwards. He just popped the ultimate and just
Dashing
held
forward
the
from
man.
Ahri, she gets the charm. Ignite comes out as well, and the third ultimate dash is just enough with the Foxfires to do the damage. Finally, we see what the matchup should have been. Now that she successfully bought her first item, the damage is there. There is no barrier.
available.
Falls.
And this is what we were worried about. Ahri's level 11 now, has that level 2 ultimate, so big chunks of damage coming through, and Lux just can't really stand up to it.
Gecko?
Even has the same item herself, but Aiden is severely struggling in this game. Death by Lollipops just seems to have his number completely, and now he's the one that's forcing him off his own turret as they take that down, and Danny getting taken very low again in the mid lane by So Simple.
This is the time you go for Herald, and that is indeed what's going to be happening from Gecko. I think he wanted to see if they could go for a dive top, but he was spotted on wards, but that's irrelevant because that just means you pressure. If you're off, you guarantee the tower, you guarantee the Herald, and with So Simple now actually having the mid lane pressure, it's even more guaranteed. Danny Hood now in the bot lane, again on super low health, really struggling in this game to really do anything. 0-2-0 for him so far, super different scoreline than what we've seen previously. And it's looking a little bit dire.
Dabva's scoreline doesn't necessarily look too bad, 1-1-1, but I mean, it's the first time in a few games where he's died this early on, and it looks like it might be a second.
Forward, looking for this Dabva. Does not have what it takes,
Benny
and the culling down onto Benny is enough damage. And they're going to get the mid tower as well.
It's just all over the map. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe the Cloud Drake is the most OP one in the game because they're just wandering around picking up kills left, right, and center, all three lanes. And they've lost their middle outer turret, and Shelly's even going to get the charge on the second. Danny's just going to walk up.
Interesting, that's bounced.
Okay.
Either way, he's going to follow that up with the stretching Drax down onto Gecko. Aiden does mark him with the ultimate, trying to get in range. He does indeed get the ultimate healing has to back out of this as Death by Lollipops goes into World Ender form. Really zoning the front line, and he gets the kill onto V-Man. It was 1v3 there. He had his team like way in the back line. There was no way, and now the engage follows through. So Simple gets the kill onto the Furies. The excellent engage from Nikes is just enough. Dabba over the wall is able to get the pick off though. I think that should be where this fight ends. Everyone's going to want to back away from this one, but no! Dabba landing a super important binding. Follows through with the execute. Benny is able to get a decent amount of gold from that. And in the end, what is that, like a 2 for 2, 3 for 3 across the board?
It was messy. No matter how many people died, it was all over the place. Just a ring around of rosies on the wolf camp in the red side jungle. But eventually, it does give Dabba a couple of kills. We were just talking about how he was 1-1-1. Now has 3 kills. I think Aiden managed to pick one up before he was taken down in that fight as well. So gold heading in the right direction if you're on the Birmingham team, but the map pressure securely in the side of Loughborough's hands.
Do you know what's OP? Cloud Drake. Do you know what's more OP? 2 Cloud Drakes. Because that's what's on the map right now. And I want to see Loughborough putting their eyes on that. Move speed, Rakan. Like, 2 things that go well, really, really well together. And it's kind of free for
that move speed. Rakan.
Exactly. Just go for it. Why not? Death by Lollipops, he doesn't have teleport, but honestly, nor does Aiden, and I think you just win the 4v4, even though Death by Lollipops is, you know,
Aiden's getting chased down again. Gonna make it safely to his own tower, though.
Good zoning control now. They got the ward onto the blue, and now 4 people have to stay to defend that, and whilst they're over there, Gecko
just walks up.
Yeah, exactly. Can just
2 auto attacks and the tower's gone. They're hovering around the Cloud Drake, just expecting the fight to come around the objective, but they're just getting macroed on. But nice. Oh, that was a long range.
Danny Hood trying to see if he can make anything of this. He just needs one more auto to get it. Waluigi now in a terrible situation, but he's trying to get the return damage. Dashes away. And the culling goes a little bit wide, but now So Simple's in the back line. He does get picked off, gets 1 kill for himself, but it gets traded over. It's a shutdown now for V-Man. These aren't very good trades for Loughborough. It's getting a bit messy now, not going in their favor exactly how they want it to. Maybe getting too confident, too cocky. And now Danny Hood overextends going forward. Cell Division does get popped by the ultimate from Graves. They're going to look to try and get this. The carry is full. Oh no, V-Man, he stepped too far forwards. He's going to be falling down. Danny Hood tried to see if he could assist him. And it's there, Dabba, with the damage. They just about turned that one around, and this is what I'm talking about. The execution from Loughborough is starting to get really sloppy.
It's so back and forth. There's a pick for one team, it's traded back and then traded back, and it's just incredibly close fights. And that little 2v1 as Ezreal got a little bit too aggressive and stepped too far forwards, but Dab was there with the save, lands the double root and finishes off both of those kills, and it's going to stem a little bit of that aggression, but not going to be enough for them to secure any objectives to really secure their way back into this game. They're already down 5 towers to 0, and Cloud Drake isn't even really going to be an option, as Aatrox still has some of the pressure in the top side. He's drawn Benny up towards him, so Baron absolutely off the cards. It really is difficult to find a way back into this game if you're Birmingham. As Simple is looking for the chase down on Aiden, as he has no towers to hide behind.
Baron is definitely the way back into this. Probably a steal, let's be honest. But Zach is really good for stealing Barons, so I won't be shocked if that does happen.
I think there's about 12 of us that have seen the Twitch clip of Danny stealing away Barons in the Manchester Invitational, or King of the North qualifiers, whichever it was, but we'll see if he's able to recreate that if they decide to go for the 5v5 fight, which I honestly don't think Loughborough even need to do. The way that they're playing the game, just finding picks across the entire map, it's putting so much pressure on Birmingham. Even if it looks sloppy and they're getting traded back and forth, they're taking objectives on the opposite side of the map. As Death by Lollipops, he's already taken both towers, and if there's one more sloppy fight in the bottom lane that's a bit of a messy 4v5 and maybe Aiden gets involved, he's on the inhibitor.
Okay. A bit far forwards now. The skewer does come down onto Knights and trying to back away from this. Again, really hard for Benny to land the ultimate. We're talking about how hard it is for Danny to look for the engage. because of all these dashes, but let's be honest, the executes are also having the exact same issue right now. So simple, backing away from this Bone Skewer.
Oh, actually gets hit by it.
V-Man doing decent damage, not as much as he wishes he could right now, so doesn't spell death for Nikes. Also simple. But with that, they push out the mid tower, and they're looking to go top, securing vision again. They can start with a Baron bait in this situation. This is really good for them.
A light binding attempt over the wall from Dabva, just going in between So Simple and Nikes, and wasn't able to quite find them. Benny? Bone Skewer not going to find the target this time either, but the vision game is going down strong in favor of Loughborough as they put down so many wards around the red buff side jungle of Birmingham, but it's, a little bit of it is getting cleared out. Not going to be able to get rid of that one unless they commit the control ward, which they will do. So at least they're fighting back and taking control of one half of their own jungle, but their blue side jungle is completely lit up with Loughborough vision.
Like we say, I don't think Baron is the right call for Loughborough, but I think a Baron trap is.
How did he just auto attack that ward?
Did
you see that? He doesn't have it. It was Lucian. He doesn't have one.
What about
there's no control. Ah, that could well be it. You're right.
That's probably got to be it. Like right at the very end of it.
Yeah. Got one auto attack off, but oh, Aiden.
No. Aiden really needs to time this well, but doesn't matter. There's too much CC. He even hops out of the chains, but it's not enough. Ignite's coming through, but the auto attack does connect from Death by Lollipops. Now V-Man's getting completely zoned by him. It's like a 1v4 here. He doesn't care. He's just gonna hop over the wall. And now the team's rotating for a 2-3
oh,
split,
Danny,
which is a little bit interesting. Danny Hood diving a bit too far forwards. Let's bounce. He's gonna pull Gecko towards his team, looking to get away from this one, but collateral damage is enough. Loughborough, it's starting to take
this is just what I was talking about. There's these scrappy fights in the bottom lane. Even they go the way of Loughborough, but does it really matter when their bottom lane and Death by Lollipops are just beating down on this top inhibitor turret? That's gone. Nothing left defending the inhibitor in the top lane apart from Benny not able to find the Bone Skewer, but it's 25 minutes into the game. All 3 top lane towers are gone. 6 total taken down for Loughborough. And while they're defending that, the jungler mid taking bot.
Aiden, they're really forcing this, but it seems a little bit weak to me. What can you do? You're just going to send Aiden forwards. They do get the stun off onto Death by Lollipops, but they're not killing him, and they get the 2 kills returned over. Finally, they are able to get the execution off. Thankfully, with Dabba having enough damage to turn it into the 2-4-2, but in the bot lane,
but he's cancelling recalls.
Destroyed. Your tower is getting pushed in. Nikes with an excellent.
That is so nasty.
Yeah, good.
He cancelled both of the recalls, so Danny Hood is now left alone.
And he's escaping as well.
To defend the bottom tower, and he can't do it. They're going to lose their bottom inhibitor. He tries to go for the Hail Mary engage, but there's nothing to back it up.
The stretching strikes, but nothing to follow up again. No team. Now we finally see Dabba. He does get charmed up. Oh, the one shot from So Simple.
Wow.
With just enough damage, just enough mana. Using the Ignite. Cell Division now comes out. Gecko gets hooked in, uses the collateral to get out of that. There is no execute for Benny, so he's not able to punish. And now a huge amount of damage onto V-Man. Good sidestep from him to avoid the death. And there is the trade-off, So Simple, but at the end of the day, the kills are still going in favor of Loughborough. And look at the kills, 19 to 13. It's well over a kill a minute.
This kills would tell you a much different story than the gold leaders. This game has been so back and forth. Loughborough just tend to be squeezing out the victories in these fights, maybe coming away with just 1 or 2 extra people alive, but the fights are so split up. They have a 3v3 on one side of the map and a 2v2 on the other side. You take 1 kill advantage in either of those fights, and then you take the macro, and that's all that's happening. There's no towers left defending the top inhibitor for Birmingham, no towers defending the bottom inhibitor, and they've only got 1 in mid, and they still haven't managed to take one of their own. It's 27 minutes into the game, and they're down 8,500 gold. Looks like Baron Vision is going to be the name of the game now, as it looks like we're stacking up some minion waves to push and pressure down on those inhibitors for Loughborough.
You want a slow wave pushing bot, you want to start pressuring top so that you can go for that inhib, because if either of those fall, that is huge. If bot falls, You force them to be outnumbered if you go for a Baron. If top falls, then you constantly have that topside jungle under your control and deny the vision, forcing them to face check it.
Birmingham have a huge wave in the bottom lane, but Simple is just going to stroll down and clear that out. Potentially a chance to get an engage, but Danny Hood and the rest of the gang are all a little bit too far away out of position to really capitalize. And Simple's just going to get that push in the bottom lane, and who can really answer it? You saw what he did to Dabba. Yeah, Lollipops gets hooked in though.
He's going to engage again. Danny Hood doesn't get the stretching strike to anyone and gets obliterated before he's able to do anything. Gecko doing so much damage from the front line. Oh, Nike stepping too far forward. Dabba is able to get it, but from the side, So Simple comes in with the charm onto the carries, going forwards. Benny is getting so low, he's not able to do anything with it, and double kill now for So Simple as Eddie is trying to go for him. Waluigi is able to follow up. Zhonya's does come out to try and save himself. Gecko now on the chase for the Fiora, and it's only a 2v4 situation to try and defend this base. They're looking for the inhib. They'll probably look for the mid inhib. They'll probably look for the top inhib, and then you've got double supers in every lane. What can you do?
Gecko just is not taking damage from Ezreal. He was just auto-attacking that inhibitor, tanking Mystic Shot after Mystic Shot to the face, and he just didn't seem to care. It wasn't phasing him at all. Looks like they're going to settle for just taking 2 inhibitors as Zac has respawned and Benny's coming up in a couple of seconds. They're going to be pushing back and maybe securing the vision around Baron once again, because now those passive pushing waves are almost guaranteed for the side of Loughborough as you have the super minions. It's kind of unfair in the PvE game.
Ocean Drake getting picked up honestly feels like a waste of time. I would rather they just recalled, reset, bought items, got some control wards so they could go to the Baron. Like, it's really not impactful at this game. You're not going to make it to the Elder Dragon if you play correctly, and you're not going to make use of the regen. Just recall, buy up, go to the Baron, ward it up, get the top inhib, get the Baron, end the game. Pretty simple. Either way, they're going to stall for a little bit. Not a major issue. Let's take a look at the items now. We've got an Executioner's for Lucian. We've got finished Mortal Reminder by Aatrox. That's interesting. I would have expected him to continue it as the Executioners. So plenty of prevention of the healing from the Pike and the Zac and the Fiora with her lifesteal, and even the Ezreal when he does get his Bork, but he's not currently at that situation. But the engage came out, and So Simple already destroyed a target. V-Man's dead, Danny Hood's dead, everyone's dead for Birmingham. Finally, they do get the trade-off pick from Dabba onto So Simple, but it doesn't matter. Too many people have died for you, and just like that, in an instant with the flash engage, that
they
might
can't
be
even get back to defend the Nexus.
the end of it.
The culling, Gecko's moved up to cut them off. He's forcing them away. Dabba is in his base and he has to recall.
Trying to get away from this one. Riposte was quite enough. He's going to be looking to get some crits down onto Gecko, but it's still a 2v4 situation. Ignite drops down, and they're just hammering away at that Nexus. Benny does get an execution, but Waluigi is still on full health. I'm not sure they're going to be able to do anything about this. Death by Lollipop's still alive. They're just dicking about right now, but that Nexus is on no HP. He can hit it once, and just like that, Waluigi end in first place.
Secure themselves solely possessors of pole position at the end of the NUEL Summer Swiss Tournament stage. Another dominating performance, but it wasn't quite as clean as you might have expected in the little skirmishes. You'd expect maybe for the top ranked team they would be clean up a little bit in 2v2s or 3v3s or just little skirmishes in the jungle, but they went so back and forth. But in the end, it was just the macro game it came down to that really just propelled them through to victory. Every time there was a little 2v2 or 3v3 anywhere in the jungle, you had Death by Lollipops in the top just taking towers like it's nobody else's business, and that's really what won them the game. I think, did Birmingham even have a tower kill at the end of the game? Let's double check. No, they did not. They didn't even have a single tower. They just got purely out-rotated on the game, and they committed a little bit too much to all these skirmishes that, and still they didn't go in their favor. I think they just got drafted into a corner just by some incredibly intelligent bans by Loughborough who've definitely done their homework.
Yeah, well played, absolutely well played, but that was just Swiss. Playoffs is where it matters, best of threes is where it matters. The drafting throughout a multi-game series is really crucial. Obviously, in the second game, you'd go, okay, fewer into Aatrox doesn't actually work versus a good player. Maybe let's not do that, you know? And at the end of the day, I think I am expecting Waluigi to walk away with this one. Warwick still could contend though, like they say. Their only losses have been with subs. AP Trind top and Renekton mid doesn't really sound that much of a challenge to me. So I do really want to see a proper game versus those two full rosters. But till then, Waluigi, they are the best team currently. Degenerates, they had a great showing today for sure, but they weren't able to topple them. And with
multiple great showings.
Exactly that. With that, it is good night from us. Remember to tune in for the quarterfinals. I have no idea who's going to be streamed, but I'm sure it'll be fun to watch. Thank you all.
Hopefully not the same team 3 times in a row.
Hopefully not Degenerates 3 times in a row, yes. That's not my fault, dude. Come on, they just... I blame Deenish. Blame Null Deenish. That's his fault. Matchmaking's... That's up to him. He could have fixed it. Either way, thank you once again. Thank you to the sponsors. And we'll see you again next time.